Thank you, sir. Okay, got it. Got it. All right. I'm excited. We can leave it by you on your table. Yeah. You got some good music later? Okay, got it. So when we finish at 3, just turn it up, you know. That's all. Well, how was everybody's travel?
Great.
Pleasant? Anybody's flight canceled or delayed or you missed it?
Oh yeah.
Anybody?
Oh yeah.
Yours got canceled? Tell us about it. What happened?
Just had to make it happen.
How'd you get here?
I flew. I just switched flights.
Okay.
I was supposed to go through Phoenix, and I had to go through Dallas and LA.
Oh, instead of Phoenix, went through LA. What's up, Pedro? You got some good momentum starting this month. Congratulations.
Yeah.
Anybody else? Flight canceled?
Lots of red lights.
Lots of red lights on the way here? Sasha lives here, so. Wasn't a far trip. How long did it took you guys to get here?
It was like 30 minutes.
Wow. That's like
So far.
half the island. That's almost as far as you get. That's exciting. Well, I'm excited that we're all here together safely. Mr. Mike Line just got in taxi from the airport, so he'll be here in just a couple minutes, and I believe everybody else is pretty much here. Are we missing anyone that's still kind of getting on their way of getting here? Everybody else is here, right? So, we're gonna see Brandon. Where's Brandon?
He's sick.
Oh, he's sick.
Yeah.
Got it. All right. So, what's up, sir? There's the famous Victor. You guys all met Victor yet?
Victor!
The one you've been hearing about on the conference call? You know, was it 21 days? Yeah.
You're the man.
So, well, first of all, I know many of you, it was a long trip, especially even some of you had to even travel from East Coast to here, which is a long trip. And obviously, majority of you have traveled from the mainland to here, which obviously is a long trip. Probably all of us had to at least connect once to be here. So I know many of us spent a lot of hours and high dollar and airline fares to get here, and now that we're here, you see how beautiful this resort is. This is beautiful, right?
Oh yeah.
And out of all the hotels we stayed at in many islands in Hawaii, for me personally, I think this is the best property there is in Hawaii. You know, room's beautiful, and as we said it on the T-Season above our Facebook Messenger room, this hotel has 9 swimming pools. Now, only one's open right now because the other 8. However, there's 9 swimming pools here, and you can see that they have 9. And it's exciting because, you know, we have a reason to, well, I don't know if all of us will together again, but at least you have a reason to come back for the other. But good news is, because the other 8 swimming pools are closed for remodeling, they have a lot of free beach activities that hotel's paying for that you could do throughout the property. So when we take a break at 3 o'clock for 3 hours before dinner, they have I don't know, some board beach activities, and they got inflatable slides, water slides, and they got just a bunch of cool stuff happening everywhere that you guys could probably enjoy for 2-3 hours before our dinner. So we're only going to be training for 2 hours right now, and at 3 o'clock we'll take a break, and we'll enjoy the property and have fun and hang out a little bit for 3 hours. Just don't overdo it with alcohol. Don't overdo it with sun, because we are going to train later. So if you do it, just enjoy yourself lightly. And at 6 o'clock, we're going to be doing dinner, which I believe is maybe one floor up from here. I don't know exactly, was it third floor or fourth floor? Do you remember? Storage right here. I think it's one floor up. It's somewhere around here that it kind of overlooks the pool area and sunset. And sunset should be around, they said, a little after 6 o'clock.
Yeah.
So we are getting together at 6 o'clock for dinner. We'll have a great view. We'll enjoy sunset. And we'll have dinner outside. And and we'll begin training again at 7:30 after dinner. So it's going to be good, and we'll be done by 11 or earlier tonight. So it's going to be a good day. It's going to be a good day, and I'm very excited. How many of you guys were at Access Leadership Academy last year in Vegas? Okay, great. This will be, obviously being in Vegas and being here is a whole another experience, but also the training will be a whole another experience. Because, for me, I've learned a lot last 12 months. We launched Japan within that period of time. So I've gone through a lot of stuff, opening up Japan and where Japan is now. But also, right before coming here, just being in Tokyo, being in Japan for 2.5 weeks, last week I got to spend 7 days with Mr. Tony Cupis, and I tell you, I've learned some stuff in past week that it was just, I told Mr. Tony Cupis last Sunday, exactly a week ago, I said in my 17-year career, this was the best week I had in my career. So I had that experience last week. So a lot of the things that really helped me, he helped me to see and understand, we're going to be going over today and tomorrow. So I'm really excited about that, because I can guarantee you, because of the things that he got me to see and understand last week, I could guarantee you my next 12 months, for me, the areas I work in, my next 12 months will be minimum 3 times bigger than my last 12 months.
Wow.
And I am 100% confident that my business is going to grow at least 3 times in the next 12 months than I've done last 12 months. And it's really because of what he shared with me last week for 7 days straight. So I wish our Leadership Academy was 7 days, but it's not. But in a very, very simple form, we're going to be talking a lot about what really helped me, he helped me to see last week. So I'm really excited to share a lot of that with you. I have it all written down here. Don't steal this. If I don't have this, there's no training today. So, but anyways, I know a lot of us haven't met each other yet. We don't have much time since we're going to be taking a break in an hour and 50 minutes, and we do have a lot to cover during the part 1. So if we could just briefly take 5-10 seconds, everybody just briefly introduce yourself, just your name, your position, and what city you're from. I think that would be great. Let's start with you, David, and we'll just go around.
Sure.
Hello, everybody. David Ortiz, TC, Houston, Texas.
Hello everyone, my name is Andy Wang. I'm a team coordinator out of QC.
Hello everyone, my name is Michael Wynn, TC out of Houston, Texas.
Hello everyone, Daryl Taylor, Regional Director out of Houston, Texas.
Mark Isaac, Regional Vice President Platinum, Houston, Texas.
Sheila Troyano, team coordinator, now Denver, Colorado.
Adam Rosales, Team Coordinator, Houston, Texas.
Hi, Marilee Isaac, Regional Director, Houston. Hi, Lisa from RGV, Regional.
David Olivares, RGV Team Coordinator.
Isaac, Regional Vice President from Houston.
Isaac, RVP, Houston. Aaron Cheryl, IU from Maui.
Hi, welcome everyone. I'm Idian Peterson. This is our hometown. Welcome from Hawaii.
Raven and Tim, team coordinators, EJ Maui. Hi, I'm Nina Vega, RGV and Houston, Texas, team coordinator.
Whereas Michael Goulet, Team Coordinator.
Yes.
For myself.
Director, Baltimore, Maryland.
TC, Baltimore, Maryland.
Mike Augustine, Regional Director, Houston, Texas.
Yes.
Nikki Junche.
Team coordinator in SoCal.
Rosie, Regional Director from California.
Tommy Lee, Regional Vice President, Hawaii, and your co-Puka Shell tour guide.
Jessica from RGB Team Lisa Garcia, RGB Team Coordinator.
Vladimir Jr. TC RGB.
Julie Rodriguez from Maui, Hawaii.
Hi everyone, my name is Congo from TC from Maui. Sasha Stan, TC from Maui, Hawaii.
Regional Vice President, Maui, Hawaii.
Quentin Audi from Austin, Texas. Team Coordinator, Houston, Texas.
Jonathan Thomas, Regional Director, Houston.
Everybody, Victor Bustamante, originally from Honolulu, Hawaii, but I'm a TC in California.
Ron Smith, Access NorCal, TC.
Frederick Kinlaw, Regional Director, RGB.
Hi everyone, Pam Lev, Regional Director, RGB, and now Houston, Texas.
Everyone, John Laird, TC, SoCal.
Hi everyone, Denise Seaman, Northern California.
Carlene McGuanawer, Regional Director, NorCal and SoCal.
Hi everyone, Nicole Butler, Team Coordinator from SoCal.
I'm Regional Vice President, California.
It's exciting. You guys remember everybody's name? We're gonna do a little test. If you get all 50 people right, you get $1. You know. How many of you, this is your very first time attending TC and Above Leadership Academy? Congratulations, congratulations. This is our first time doing it in Maui. It's very exciting. We want to thank Mr. Stuart Stan for organizing everything. And he spent a lot of personal time making sure that everything was organized and set up the way it is, and we all get to enjoy this beautiful property for the next couple of days. So it's very exciting. You know, we started Access Leadership Academy probably, I don't know, 4 years ago, 5 years ago. Was this one meant to be on the floor? Or did something drop? Okay, on the floor is okay.
Recording, yes.
Yeah, I didn't want to step on it or break it. It's all right if I break it. You got iPhone 10 coming, you know. But you get less money for trade-in though. But, you know, and we've done a few of them in Vegas and my house, which kind of makes it easier to travel. But obviously we don't have all of this in Vegas, so we'll swap out different locations. I think we've done one in Texas before, and we actually tried one on a cruise ship to Mexico once, which was fun. A lot of I think when was your first time ever leaving the land?
Yes, sir.
And going out of the country?
Not the first time going out of the country, but the first time with excess.
Yeah. There was somebody that was like, who was it?
No,
Oh, it's his first time. His first time leaving the mainland this time, right? This is the first time overseas traveling. Yeah, so. It's fun, and even on the cruise it was fun. We got to rent out the restaurant during the daytime and did training inside of a restaurant since it wasn't open, and we got to have fun hanging out 24 hours a day and spend half the day on the ground in Mexico, and so it's been fun few years that we got to spend together, and seeing some of the people that were team coordinators on one of those Leadership Academy, and now seeing many of you as regional directors and regional vice presidents. It's very exciting. It's exciting And I know that this Leadership Academy by far, we're all gonna get the most out of it more than any other time. Just because, you know, the training that we're gonna be talking about today, tomorrow, is really gonna solidify everything we need to do, and it's also gonna make us realize everything we need to not do. You know, one of the things that Mr. Tony Kupich really made me realize last week is a lot of times we're learning things and we're doing the right things. But problem is we're also doing the things that we shouldn't be doing. You know, and what really helped me understand, which we're going to be spending a lot of time today and tomorrow, really going over everything we have to do, and we're going to really go over everything we have to not do to make sure that we get the best results that we all want, and really help as many people as possible to become team coordinators, regional directors, regional vice presidents, senior vice presidents, and really help many people to create residual income, you know, so they could go out there and better their lives at whatever level they desire. If it's $500 a month or $5,000 a month or $50,000 a month or $500,000 a month, you shouldn't be embarrassed in ACIN if somebody's making $500 a month, and I don't think you should be embarrassed making $500,000 a month. Whatever amount people desire, they can make it here. And you know, our job as leaders and becoming leaders is to go out there and provide an environment and a system in your local areas to help as many people as possible to do that, right? So, you know, and it's just a perfect example. I mean, you could hire the best trainer there is, and he or she could get you on the best meal plan, best workout plan, and you could follow everything to the T. And eat everything what's on the meal plan, and do everything what the workout plan is telling you to do. You would think you would have an amazing results if you just do that. Yes, it's true, you would have amazing results if you do that, as long as you're also not doing what you're not supposed to do. If you follow the trainer's meal plan and a workout plan, but at the same time, you're also eating ice cream, spaghetti, and fried chicken, and McDonald's French fries every day with it, Mr. Tony did promoting events. And the slides were from our Saturday training. And 11-year-old, 10-year-old, 5-year-old, RVPs, and non-producers, and brand new people, everybody said that was the best training they've ever been to. Here's what I realized. The basic of our business is the best motivation that anybody could get in our business. There's no training, there's nothing else that we could possibly talk about that gets people more excited about our opportunity than our core Saturday training. Now, he's been telling me this for a whole week. Now, my comp plan and team etiquette training that day was different. Why? Because I said every word he told me to say. Everything he told me on the train, I applied, and that's all I said. And I'm telling you, when I did the comp plan training, I'm going to try to get a copy of the video. And even though it's like in translation with Japanese, if I could get a copy of it, I'll put it on our Facebook TC room, because I want you guys to watch. Let me tell you something. When I got done explaining residual income the way he told me to do it, people were freaking out. Like, people were freaking out. Like, and you know what? All it was what I did, whatever he told me to do. And people were freaking out. I mean, by the time I got done explaining residual income, everybody in the room was going, I'm getting a big residual income in this country. People, I've never seen them that excited. There was, you know, I've done a lot of trainings. There was no training I've ever done that got the crowd as excited as explaining the compensation plan. And I realized we do Saturday trainings and we go through all this without getting people excited. Huh. Not you. I'm saying I've been like that. I'm saying I've been like that. But after today and tomorrow, we're not going to do that no more.
Yes, sir.
I saw him do mindset training, If I could get a copy of that video, I'll post it on our room. When he was done with that mindset, nothing that special. Number one, make a decision. Number two, learning curve. Number three, emotional roller coaster. Think long term. Number five, be coachable. Number six, work ethic, commitment. After that, one slide. Keep it simple. We do two things: get customers, get customer getters. How? Talk to people. Third slide, talk to people. Talk to a lot of people, you have a lot of success. You talk to some people, you have some success. You talk to a few people or no people, you have no success. It's not what you say, it is more important you say something. Two categories of people. People you know, people you don't know. We call that warm market, we call that cold market. We focus on warm market. Make a list. Do not prejudge. I don't even have to read it. You know what's coming up next. Those you think will. Wow! Those you think won't. Oh my gosh! Were you there last Saturday? Those you think can't. Those you think can't. Were you there? Tell me the truth. Were you guys in last Saturday? Next slide. It's all about timing. Can't say the unbelievable. Honest to God, that's what he trained. People fall into one of the three groups. Red,
Green, red.
unbelievable. We are in the sorting business, not selling business. You know that. You haven't memorized. I asked you to look at it, but you haven't memorized. 80% of your time looking for or working with red apples. The key is looking for or working with. 20% of your time with
Green apples.
0% of your time with brown apples. SW, 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 SW. Next. That was just his mindset training slides. So, how can we train like how Mr. Tony Cupid's trained and he got me training last Saturday? Here's how. Crap, it's 2:58. We have to do it after. I said we're gonna have a free time at 3 o'clock, so.
It's okay.
So I apologize. I was already. This was really gonna be part of the first session, and we just ran out of time. Unbelievable.
Keep going. Keep going, sir.
It was not on purpose. Here, watch. Here. We were supposed to be there, and we were supposed to start 7:30 with the RVP success interview, but we just went over time. But like
All in favor?
mindset,
Break late.
objective, starting
All in
early.
favor?
All in favor.
All in favor?
Keep going, keep going.
Did you say that? Did you see what he said? Yeah. 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 So have a great time. I'm just going to tell you the mindset part, and we'll go and we'll continue with comp plan after the break. Okay? Here's the objective. When you're doing Saturday training, here's the objective. When you're doing mindset, as you go over those slides, he said, here are things that has to be done. Now, he said, if you got a few things on the point, you don't spend a lot of time on each point. He said, you got to focus on a couple important points during the training, and you have to be great at telling story to back it up. And we'll talk about that more when we come back, okay? But here's what you really want done during mindset. He said during mindset, you want them to commit long term, obviously, right? And he said number two is you want to take the pressure off for them to start doing stuff. He said it's not that they don't want to do it, it's just that they have a pressure. So you have to take the pressure off so they could actually do something. He said that is the reason why he spends a lot of time talking about three types of people. He helps them really understand, and we have to really help them understand that you don't change their color of the apple. They are who they are before you ever say anything. He said if you could get that clear, instead of just saying, hey, we're in the sorting, we're not selling, that doesn't make sense to people. He said you got to tell stories and you got to explain to make sure they understand that they're already red apple before you meet them. They're already green apple before you meet them. They're already brown apple before you meet them. That's why you explain. You can't say the right things to the wrong people. You can't say to the wrong people. That's why you explain it's about timing. You know, you say all that because you got to take the pressure off. The reason people have pressure is because they think they have to say the right thing. Because they think they have to not mess up with their people. They think they have to, do the right thing and get good at this and understand everything to get people, to turn them into red. And that's why they have pressure. That's why they don't talk to people. Wow. Remember, all we want is get them to sign up, switch over services, and introduce new people. And only way we could get them to introduce new people is if we take the pressure off at a Saturday training. Let me tell you something. He did a 30-minute, his mindset training was 30 minutes. With translation, which means it's 15 minutes. Which is the amount of time we spend in mindset at our Saturday trainings, is it not? My comp plan training was exactly, it was about 31 minutes, okay? Which means with translation, it was 16 minutes. Which is enough time. I'm telling you, we did it last Saturday. I was there. It's plenty of time to do this and be that effective in a 15, 16, 20-minute training per time. Does that make sense to you? So he said, number one, you got to get them to think and commit long term. Number two, you want to take the pressure off so they could start taking action. Number three, the objective number three during mindset is you got to prepare them for negative people.
Oh, yeah.
He said, if you're doing mindset training and if you're not preparing them for negative people, he said, here's what you want to have happen. When they run into a negative person, you don't want them freaking out. You don't want them hurt. You want them laughing. He said, you have to tell a story at a Saturday training and make fun of negative people situations so much that when they run into a negative person, they literally laugh out loud. They're like, oh, they told me this would happen. He said, you got to prepare them to laugh when negative people pop up. Because you know they're going to run into them. He said, but if you don't prepare them at Saturday training, they're going to be crushed when they run into negative people. He said, that's the number three objective is prepare them for negative people. Number four, you have to talk about being coachable, but you also have to talk about this. You have to explain to them that it doesn't matter what you teach them, they're going to go against everything you taught them. But it's okay. When you do, just come back to training, always the answers will be available. Ooh. He said you have to plant that seed. Because the reality is they're all going to go out there and do everything opposite of Saturday training. But if you don't prepare them that, first, they go out there and do it on their own, they don't follow the training, and they get crushed and they quit. But if you tell them in advance and have them laugh about it, when they go out there and do it on their own and get crushed, they're like, oh, they told me I'm not going to be coachable. I need to go back to training, and I got to really learn it. I'm going to give this another shot and do it the right way. Wow. So you have to plant that seed during the mindset training. Does that make sense to you?
Wow, so
now,
good.
There are stories. I'm not going to leave you there. I'm going to tell you how to do this. What story to tell to make sure they're equipped. I'll just tell you this one story as an example, and we'll take a break, and we'll come back, and we'll continue after the training. Give you an example. So how do you explain that you got to be coachable, but all of you are not going to be coachable and do everything against the training, but it's okay, come back. How do you do that?
You do that when you talk about prejudging people. Think about it. Mr. Tony Kupich has done this many times at our convention. He explains not about prejudging, you don't prejudge because you can never say the wrong things to the right people. He does all this, right? After all this, he will go off and talk about something else for a second. And he will come back to it. He said, but can we all be real here? Let's just talk. But how many of you know someone that you just know they wouldn't do AC? And everybody raises their hand. Just 2-3 minutes after you talked about do not prejudge. He said every time he's done it, everybody raises their hand. Some of you probably remember those moments when you're at a convention and Mr. Tony Kupich did that trick. I mean, he talked about do not prejudge. How many of you guys could promise me we're not going to prejudge? Everybody's raising their hands. All right, all right. He went to go talk about something else, and a couple minutes later he will ask, but can we just talk for a minute? How many of you know? How many of you know someone that you know they just won't do anything? How many of you know? Everybody raises it. I told you, you just promised me 2 minutes ago that we're not going to prejudge and you're already prejudged. What am I doing? Hey, here's the reality. We're training you all this information today at this Saturday training, how to get customers, how to build a team, how to be successful in ACN. But just know that many of us are going to go out there and do everything opposite of our Saturday training. And we're not going to follow this training. But it's okay. It's okay. When you do, and you don't get the results you want, always know the answers are right here at training and come back and train. He said, just by saying that, you're going to save a lot of people from getting crushed and just quitting the opportunity, and he gets them to remember to come back to training. Does that make sense? So he's told me stories. He told me each stories to tell in each topic to accomplish each objective that we want to accomplish at each topic. So we could all say all that stuff. This is not, this is not that hard. He shared with me. I said it last week. I've heard him say it last week. I'm going to share with you what to say. Just go out there and get familiar with it and start sharing those stories at our Saturday trainings. And we could get our Saturday training to the level that Mr. Tony Kupich wants us to have it at. That I know if we do it, some of you here sitting here right now, I'm dead serious when I say some of you here could have a $400 million a year or more in revenue from your customers in the next 5 years. It's going to be fun. So it's 3:05. We went 5 minutes over. Let's take a break. Dinner is at 6 o'clock. Okay, I myself is going to go change. I'm going to be hanging out at the pool. But, pool's open. Beach activities are like everywhere. If you don't have the map, you can ask the front desk. They'll tell you all the things that's available at the concierge desk. With doing interview with RVPs, obviously SVP Mr. Mike Lon, and we're gonna just talk. Do we need one more chair?
There's one here, but we couldn't sit down.
Yes. So we need. If we could get if we could move that chair for Mr. An, beautiful. And yeah, it seems like we gained like 4 people since earlier. I don't know where you guys came from. For sure 4 of you were not here earlier. Because our head count was all for dinner. Like, where did they show up from? I don't know what happened, right? Sure, I don't know where they came from. Because for sure we had extra chairs earlier. But did anybody get promoted to TC last week? Anyways, I love this part of our Leadership Academy where we have the RVPs and Mr. Mike Lon, and you get to freely. Usually we do like no card and you ask a question, and I was picking through questions, but today we're just going to let you raise your hand and openly ask a question to whoever or to everybody, doesn't matter, and they'll give you guys on the spot their response on what they would do in those situations, or whatever you guys want to ask. So if we could have all the regional vice presidents and senior vice presidents come up. here. There you go. All right. Perfect. All right.
We need some diversity.
Yeah. So I think yeah, we do need some ladies up here, huh? We got no ladies.
Come here. You made it bad enough.
Hey, we got no lady here. What's up with that? Juliet don't count because it's like a couple.
Oh!
You know, like we don't have a lady who did it on their own up here.
Sir, it's my name first.
Hey, do we have any single lady here that's gonna Okay. Good. Well, next time we do one of these, we want to see some ladies up here.
Yes, sir. We'll be up there.
Okay.
The next one is the ladies.
All right. Well, before we take some questions, you guys could think through on your questions. If you guys want to ask some questions to these incredible leaders of Access, I think we have the best looking leaders out of any organization there is in the world. Don't you guys think so? I mean, they're just really straight up the middle. Hey, there was the lightest clap I heard. I mean, they were clapping louder than that for the food earlier. Hey, I can make them agree. I was sharing my opinion. Hey, while they're thinking of a question, if you guys want to just briefly say whatever you guys want to say, everybody give them a quick advice first, and we'll take some questions. Start with you, Mark.
Biggest advice I can give you is that, this is few leadership trainings that I've been on already, and the most important thing is really taking massive action every time you learn something like this. That's always helped myself, my group, of course, take it to the next level, get into massive momentum after trips like this. And so just take some massive action. Big advice I can give you guys.
Nice.
I don't know what to advise it if it's for the millennial or the baby boomers. Anyways, like to me, because I came from a technical side, so there's no problem for me on the technical side. ACN is actually simple. The hardest part for me in ACN is first and foremost is managing my emotions, and also being coachable, especially to my brother right here. Yeah. So, but the thing is that anything with value, it requires effort and persistence, basically. So that's what my advice is, that just don't stop, keep going.
Nice.
Oh, my turn. I don't know what to say, but I mean, if you're working with your husband, you're a couple, okay? And your name is first, and your husband is under you. Let your husband work for your RVP. I'm just kidding. No, I'm not kidding. Just telling you. That's what I can advise.
That's your real advice?
My real advice.
Okay. Now we know. I'm just grateful, Mr. Danny Bay. You guys saw his schedule last 2 weeks. He was in Japan. He was in Korea. He's running a continent for ACN, but still makes time to do this for us when it's his time to spend with his family and kids. So he brings them here. So I think for us, how we show him how much we appreciate him isn't not just a round of applause, but in actually winning an ACN, applying and becoming XS RVPs and SVPs, that his time was worth investing to all of us. So now we give him a round of applause.
My turn? Yeah. All right. Cool. What's up, guys?
Hey.
Best advice I can kind of give you guys is just like Mark Isaac said too, is we can learn all the best advice, we can learn all the best trainings, we can learn everything out there that we apply from these leadership trainings, but without any action, it's just kind of just wasted. So we got to go out there and apply it, guys. Whether we get the right action, right results, whatever it is, just take the action and just keep on taking the action, because eventually you'll figure it out. So just keep on taking action.
Well, I've been in this industry for 22 years now, and various different companies and vehicles, and even own my own direct sales company at one point. And all that means is we've made every mistake 10 times more over than you guys did. And the biggest value you have is to not make the same mistakes we've made. And that's where the advice comes in. And I've seen so many different case scenarios. We've all heard of that and lived by the saying, ignorance on fire beats intelligence on ice. But at this level of the game, when you're sharpening your axe, what if you had intelligence on fire, right? And so, you know, this is one of those difference makers, sessions like this. Everything that I have today, everything that I've accomplished, I owe to this gentleman over here and the people that he's put in front of me and introduced me to and picked me up out of the mud and dusted me off when we thought all hope was lost. He was that guiding light. So when you have a mentor, and it is an abused word, right? How many of you guys say, oh, this is my mentor? Don't ever call somebody your mentor if you don't follow and do what they say. That's ridiculous, right? So we're here getting the mentorship, then do and follow what they say. I mean, I'm taking notes right now. I mean, that's all I'm doing, what you guys doing. So, go ahead, sir.
When Tommy here talked about making mistakes and stuff, I was one of them. I signed up under Tommy back in 2009. And a lot of my experiences, you guys know this island is 160,000 people. What you guys, many of you guys have, we never had. Like, raise your hand in this room if when you started ACN, you had a TC RDO RVP doing your presentations, doing your videos. Raise your hand. If you had a person, okay, see, most of you raise your hand. See, coming into a system is so different. If you don't know, like, I'm gonna tell you this, one thing all these RVPs have in common, I guarantee you, they've all had many people quit their team. They've lost team coordinators from their team. I guarantee that. Without those kind of experiences, you don't know, you don't really know. So, you know, Michael Wong gave us incredible training, the TC and about that live training. And I was so blown away when he said this. He didn't mean it, but he kind of meant it. He said, I wish everyone could experience losing their entire team and have to rebuild. Because that's when the true, when we're doing ACN. And you guys know when it comes to having momentum, momentum comes and goes. You guys all know when you have momentum, there's no problems. When you have momentum, everything's a problem. So we should all just focus on always working towards building momentum. And use who you have in your in wherever you're at. You know, they're gonna tell you things that you don't want to hear because that's human nature. Like Danny shared with us today. He said people aren't gonna want to do anything you say. He said it in training. It's just the VP of A that told you guys they're gonna do exactly opposite what you tell them. So knowing that, we just continue to build and go out there and sort, and we have this incredible kind of training, and you guys have incredible leaders leading Access Champions.
All right, now any questions you guys may have? Go ahead. Mr. Steve Young.
Yeah, well, one of my questions is, you know, on your RVP runs or Blackman runs, what are the main challenges maybe you had getting there and what you did to overcome that challenge? I don't know if you distinctly remember, I'm sure you had tons of challenges, but you know, something you can give advice on how to easily overcome difficult challenges so that we can keep moving forward.
Whoever wants to take it, you guys can go ahead.
You want me to take it? Nothing simple. When you're nearer to your destination, the more obstacles you will overcome. That I can tell you that. The thing is that if you keep your eyes on the prize, it's easy. Yeah. When we were running for RVP, there's a lot of sleepless night. Okay, there's a lot of challenges that we never expected. But because we want to be RVP. To be honest with you, we're supposed to be RVPs, but my wife said, no, I don't want to speak in front. So it shocked me when we're very close. So, but that, again, it's your determination really will dictate it. Nothing easy.
Okay. I'll add to it. I think the biggest mistake a lot of people make is they make too many excuses during their run when the challenge comes. I love talking about it because a lot of you guys know when I moved to Texas, I made a commitment like I'm not gonna go do anything, you know, like some crazy stuff. And long story short, I had Mark Isaac's line RVPs. I needed one more RVP. I had the TCs in place, and right when I was on my run, it was like 2 years and 5th month, I was engaged before. And my ex-fiance married my best friend. A lot of people would have used that, and he was my downline TC, would have used that as an excuse. I can't stay focused. I'm off track. Oh, this is like so heartbreaking. I used that as a motivation and got to work so I don't think about it. Mark knew the whole time. Mama knew, Papa knew. These three were the only ones who knew, and I got it done. Like, I mean, I got it done. Like, I got it done. I don't use that as an excuse, but I hear so many people, when they have like one good month, right, they think it's gonna stay there. No. You gotta go all the way to your goal. My goal when I moved to Texas wasn't RVP and let's make some money. No, my goal was I'm gonna be the first SVP until, okay, until no matter what. My mom, Thanksgiving, Mother's Day, my only mom, my reason why I brought her to Texas, because I was scared to miss one day of production in Texas, because one day missing is a rollback. One time I could even go again, so I sent my mom and my sister to Hawaii. Tommy Lee picked them up, showed them a good time. I sent my mom and sister to Korea, because you know why? I'm not gonna make an excuse, because I know how easy it is to lose momentum. I know how easy it is to get off track. Wow. All I know is once you get it done, you feel good. Then I partied. And now I'm happy in love with the superstar RD about to be RD. There's no excuses. Don't get off track. Mr. Victor.
All right. So having hit my 90-day mark as an IBO this past Saturday with very limited experience in MLM. Tomorrow is my 90 days, sorry. What techniques can I use to overcome objections, like when speaking with a potential IBO who's currently a business owner that says, come back to me when you've had at least a year or more experience, because you don't know your company and you're asking me to join, and they're successful business people. I use edification a lot with our leaders and mentors, but sometimes that's not enough. And what suggestions can you give me with these guys?
In my experience, you do have credibility with them though. They know you're successful. They know you run multiple businesses. They know you didn't waste time. So I would look at someone like that and let them know everything is about timing and be like, do you trust me though? Do you think I would waste my time if I didn't believe in this guy, knows these guys? I even went to Detroit, met the owners, met Danny Bay, met these guys, and that's why someone like me is putting all this time and effort in, and I want you in at the beginning with me when we're gonna get it big, not versus once I'm super big, and then you get in, because I won't have the time for you then. Like, this is it right now. We're working on something big, and I need you to trust me and my credibility.
And that makes someone arrogant?
No, just, it depends how they come at you. If they're a shark sometimes, you gotta sometimes be, a little bit. I always tell people, be cocky humble. Not cocky is a bad word, but like confident, but with humbleness. And you are humble, Victor. You don't even talk about yourself. I mean, you're really humble. I saw your closet. Just in the office.
All right, thank you, sir. I'll use that.
I just saw the shoe closet, on orange shoes. Those cars there.
And not just for that objection, but for all of your objections, guys, feel felt found. You know, hey, I know how you feel. I felt the exact same way. But what I found out was our entire company has access to the absolute most experienced top leaders of our company, and that's how our company is successful. So the reality is you don't need to just follow me anyway. We all follow our co-founders and VPs of Asia and North America and our senior VPs and Circle of Champions, and I'm going to put you in front of them. Ooh. And that's our system.
Nice.
And some of you get a year later. Took me 3 years to get this guy.
A lot of following up.
That was a shy hand, Sheila.
Yes, I do have a question for all of you, and anybody wants to answer would be perfect.
You're not going to be having those six packs pop out like Mark Eyes. You know what I'm saying? I mean, you saw his Instagram video. I mean, he's like dancing on the pole, like it's unbelievable. Come out right. Hopefully, you don't listen to this part or replay it on Facebook. Audio version. Video version's all right, but audio. You don't know what I'm talking about. You gotta go look it up. Mark Isaac, Instagram. You'll see the video. I had all the Korean leaders watch it. It was motivating, and but that's not gonna happen if you're doing all the right things. But at the same time, you're also doing all the wrong things with it. And I realize in our business, many of you here are doing probably majority of the right things that we're supposed to do. But what we're going to see today, tomorrow is we're missing few of the things, few very simple things that we should be doing or we could be doing, but we don't know it yet, and we didn't know it yet, but by tomorrow we will. There are a few more things that we have to do that is very simple and some things that we could implement right away to get great results and help as many people to win. But many of us may be doing, and I know maybe not for you, but for me, I caught myself doing a lot of stuff I shouldn't be doing to get more results for the same amount of effort that I'm putting in. Does that make sense? You know, so how many of you believe in whatever amount of effort and energy you're investing into your business, how many of you believe in getting the most out of what you put in? If I'm putting in an hour or 10 hours or 100 hours or whatever amount of hours I'm putting in, I don't know about you, I want to get the maximum results from whatever I'm doing. And and I'm sure you feel the same way. I'm sure you are the same way, or you wouldn't have forked out your cash and time to spend 2 days with us in Maui. So we've got to make sure, I'm going to make sure that this is definitely worth your time. And I believe that everybody will feel when we leave tomorrow at 12 o'clock when we're finished, which really, we're not even spending 24 hours together. We start at 1, and there's the majority of times our free time or break and eating time. And we finish at 12 tomorrow. So within that 23 hours, spending really one full day together, I guess, I believe everybody's going to leave saying, hey, you know what, that was definitely worth my time, and that was definitely worth my money times 10. So I'm excited, and I'm really ready to go right into all the meat and potatoes of what we want to talk about. But I do want to encourage every single one of you to really, make sure that you control your mindset throughout the training. To number one, you focus. And you heard me say this a million times. Doesn't matter if there's 500 people or 50,000 people or 50 people in a room. You want to treat it like it's one-on-one conversation with whoever is speaking. After the break, after dinner, we're going to have a chance to hear from the RVPs, and we're going to, they don't even know they're going to be speaking yet, but we're going to put them all up here, and we're going to do a success interview. We're going to ask people to ask them questions. You're going to get answers, and we're going to hear them freely from how they really think and how they really do things, and that's going to be very productive. But just throughout the whole time, just doesn't matter who's speaking up here. Have a one-on-one conversation with that person, and let that person really, have a conversation with you where you could really understand everything that person
is trying to communicate with you. You know, I consider Mr. Jim Rohn my biggest mentor, but I only met him a couple of times. You know, him and I talking, actually probably never had more than, I don't know, well, on the phone we talked 30 minutes, which, well, phone's kind of cool because it's like really just one-on-one talking, but, you know, outside of that in person, you know, probably only a couple of times, you know, and it was only short few minutes of short conversations happening. And I've been to his live seminars where there was, you know, 1,000 people or whatever, but I treated him like it was like him and me talking. I didn't care about the other 999 people in the room. It was like Mr. Jim Rohn talking to me. I don't care if it's a CD, me listening to in my car, and that was in front of him speaking in front of 5,000 people at a seminar back in 1997. I treated it like that was him just straight up talking to me, and that's how I always got the most out of it. So I want to encourage you to spend today and tomorrow, have a conversation with me, have a conversation with whoever else is speaking, and you know, really get the most out of it. And I don't want you to go home the same way that you came yesterday or today. Is that okay?
Yes.
Let's all leave different. Just the way that I left Japan different because I had a tremendous time with Mr. Tony Kubitz. I want all of you to leave different, the same impact that I got from Mr. Tony. You know, I want all of you guys to have that between today and tomorrow, okay? And second thing, when I say make sure you have the right mindset towards the training, here's one thing that, you know, I tell my leaders I work with in Korean Japan all the time. Here's one thing that's very unproductive, okay? And what that is going to the mode of beating yourself up, okay? A lot of times when we do these trainings, people get caught up with like, crap, I'm not doing that. Crap, I didn't know that. Oh, why didn't I do that? Why didn't I know that? Why didn't you teach me like that like a year ago, right? Like, you know, like, oh crap, I wish I'd known that 10 years ago. You know, like, oh man, like, you know, stuff that we are not supposed to do, you may find yourself, man, I do that all the time, you know, and I see people do this all the time throughout the training. Instead of start focusing on what they're going to start doing today forward, they focus so much on what they haven't done, or what they've been doing wrong, or what they have been missing, and they beat themselves up. There's zero productivity in beating yourself up. Zero. Absolutely zero. So throughout the training today and tomorrow, some of you, if it's your very first time coming to Leadership Academy, you may hear some new things, go, man, I wish I'd known that. Oh my gosh, I've messed up and, you know, ruined these people, or messed up these people, or lost these people. Let me promise you something. If they're the right people, it doesn't matter what you have done with them, they would have still stuck it out and made it. It's never your fault. Now, you could have done better to create a better environment, true. We're always going to work on ourselves to provide that environment at all the time. However, hey, I never had a good sponsor. You know, my first company, my first sponsor, he quit the day after I signed up. You know, my second company, my sponsor was probably the worst person in network marketing I have ever met. I mean, this dude was so bad. Anytime you talk to him, you got demotivated. You know what I'm saying? It was unbelievable. You know, but it didn't matter. It didn't matter. I'm here. Does that make sense? You know, and in ACN, the person that introduced me to ACN, which I'm grateful for because he introduced me to the opportunity, you know, but he got terminated, you know, within a couple of years of the opportunity. He broke more rules in ACN than anybody else in 25-year history. You know, so he's a Hall of Famer for breaking every rule there ever was in ACN, or rules that got set in place because of what we has done. He helped us create our compliance department to get So, you know, he done two great things in ACN. He left me here, and, you know, he improved our compliance department. And, you know, but it doesn't matter. I'm here. Does that make sense? You know, so, but am I mad at any of them? No, I'm grateful for every single one of them. I'm grateful for the guy that introduced me to my first company, even though he quit the day after, because if it wasn't for him, I don't know if I would have ever got introduced to the opportunity. So I'm grateful for that experience. I'm grateful for every experience and every person I've ever met up to this point. And, you know, and I truly am. And I want to encourage all of you guys to do the same. And, you know, and really make sure that you're not beating yourself up. Does that make sense? And just focus on what you're going to do starting today forward. And if you implement it, I can tell you right now, last week I had a few moments, at least 4 or 5 moments, where it didn't matter how I've been doing things for 17 years, it was gone. As soon as Mr. Tony Cupids talked about it, I just wanted to do it just the way Tony Cupids was doing it and how he has always done it. And you know, why? He's 1,000 times more successful than I am. You know what I'm saying? I mean, he was our weekly training we do in ACN, he created that. Think about that. He created our training. And think about it. When our average customer was only spending $10 to $15 a month in the home phone long distance business only, he started ACN, obviously with the other co-founders, and he was the main trainer that was implemented the system of ACN, everything we learn and everything we teach, and $10, $15 a month, which is like quarter of or 20% of our average cell phone bill, a cell phone customer we get right now for Flash Wireless. With $10, $15 a month customer in less than 5 years, you all heard the story at conventions. They got this company doing $400 million a year. $400 million a year. From 0 to $400 million a year, getting $10 to $15 a month customers.
Crazy. Wow.
When Mr. Tony Cupids and co-founders were they were in the field every day just like us, going around doing Saturday trainings, doing BOMs and PBRs and leadership trainings. When they were doing that themselves, they took it from 0 to 400 million in 5 years with a $10, $15 a month customer, just one product, in one country. Now think about that. If they've done that, here's the way I was thinking. Yes, I've done 400 million in Korea in 6 years, not 400 million a year. I only do a little over 100 million a year in Korea. So I'm thinking to myself, not dang, because they did 400 million a year in 5 years with $10 or $15 a month customers, right? And they didn't have a 25-year track record to show people the credibility of ACN, right? They didn't have any of that. We have it. We have a proven record and a history that we could show. They had nothing to show. But their Saturday training, their weekly training, and when they were in the field like us, and they were doing exactly what we're doing now, with that system, they took it from 0 to 400 million a year in 5 years with $10, $15 a month customer. What if we could truly duplicate exactly what Tony Cupids did and the founders did when they started ACN, when they were working in the field? What if we could truly mirror 100% exactly what they were doing with our current opportunity, with the sickest compensation plan there is on the planet, with the most profitable, most approachable, most incredible network marketing product anybody has to offer, which is Flash Wireless. How many of you were in Detroit and you saw it? You saw with some of the adjustments and changes and announcements that were made. I mean, it doesn't get better than this. No. You can't have more approachable, anybody you could talk to, anybody could become a customer. You don't have to twist no arm or convince anybody or force nobody. I mean, you can't have a better product than Flash Wireless. And some of you live in Zoom markets, which is another great product you could talk about on top of Flash Wireless. But we all have Flash Wireless. I mean, even Vivint is an unbelievable product, and they pay so much money for it. It's unbelievable and ridiculous. And any of you that have Vivint, you love it as soon as you get it. I mean, it is so cool. After having it for a long time, it's still cool that you pull up the app and just check out what's going on. I mean, you just love it. Every time you're putting the alarm on and off on your phone or even on the panel at home, you're excited because it's so cool. You see another security company panel? They're ugly. You know what I'm saying? You know, and they run these promotions. I mean, you get $200 to get a customer. It's unbelievable. I mean, they're giving away iPads. I mean, it's unbelievable. Unbelievable, the product that we get to offer. And they all spend more than $10 a month. They all spend more than $15 a month. So imagine if we could all work like Tony Cupids when he was in the field like us. And what if we did what he did for the next 5 years, the way he did it?
What could happen to your teams? Where could your team be in 5 years? If you did the same activities Mr. Tony Kupitz and the founders did in the field, first 5 years, in your business starting today, next 5 years, with the product we have now, with the credibility we have now, with the compensation plan we have now. You know, residual income back then, 7th level, used to pay 2.5%.
Wow.
Today, how much do we pay? 8%? That's almost 4 times the money. That's almost 4 times the money. To get 10% on your personal customers, back then, you had to create over $10,000 a month in billing on your personal customers' revenue to get 10%. And this wasn't 25 years ago. No, this was like 8 years ago. 10,000. So if your average customer is spending $40, you needed a 250 flash wireless customers personally to get 10% on their bills. But now you only need 50 points, right? 60 points. 60 points. How much is a flash customer worth? 3 or 4 points?
4.
Even if there are only 3, that's 20 customers. 20 customers, not 250, 20 customers. 20 customers. To get 10%, you know people that spend hundreds of thousands of dollars to open up stores, to sell cell phones, you know they don't get 10% on their customers' bills? They don't get 10% on their customers' bills after spending $200,000, $400,000 to open up a store. They fork out 200 grand, open up a store, set up interior, hire 5, 6, 7 employees. They don't get 10%. You don't need to do 10,000 billing. You don't have to get 250 customers. You get 20. If you're getting 4 points a customer, you get 15. In this plan, when we were getting started, guys, qualification was 8, not 8 points, 8 customers.
Wow.
And one person couldn't become more than 1 customer. Why? Because everybody only had 1 home phone. And we couldn't activate new numbers. You only had to transfer the one that was with a company to transfer over.
Wow.
So it's not like you could activate a new number. You had to get actual 8 homes to switch over from whatever company they were with. 8 customers to qualify. When we went ETT, it was 20 personal customers and 3 people with 8 customers.
Oh my gosh.
Wow.
But now, if you get 15 flash customers, you get 10% on your residual.
Within one market, what would you say is the 1 or 2 things that would help those teams succeed when you aren't there all the time to hold their hands?
Young as an age or?
Young in leadership.
Young in leadership. Here's how I put it. Danny Bay always taught me, you know, think global but build local. Right? I don't like to spread myself so far. Example, when I built Houston, we got it running 400 or 500 weekly meeting, and I still wasn't leaving until the founders invited me to Charlotte and said, you're allowed to expand now. Because when I first started, I had a team in Honolulu, remember, Tommy? I had a team in Vegas, I had a team in California, and I had a team in Houston, and I was stuck at 100, 200 reps, but all over the place. And then I just couldn't take it anymore. So if you guys do have people that go, oh, I know somebody there, like, let's master our like local market first. Unless it came through your team, then find the, you know, if there's an event there, and don't just try so hard like our access way, just tell them to go follow their system, go plug in, and get them, you know, international, help with webinars, whatever you gotta do. But I just don't recommend people spreading out so far when we have so many things we could do in our local market and go all out and learn, you know, build it so well. But you know, that's my recommendation. I just hate going far out. You know, local market isn't gangster yet. Sorry for that word. Anyone else want to add?
Yeah, I mean, I tried building different markets. It's fun, but it's expensive. It takes a lot of time. And the scary part is if you really want to build a market, you have to be committed and stay there. You have to do that. Otherwise, they will just die.
Sure.
Unless you find a superstar like Mr. Victor that you can leave. Other than that, it's hard.
Yeah, but even with Victor, I mean, Charlene, how often did you go to San Diego?
Every day.
Every day, you know, so like she had to try an hour, 2 hours, and was with as powerful and as strong of a red apple and a net, you know, already not in ACN, not in network marketing, but as a human being already went through a lot of businesses ups and downs, and he was a prepared leader to do a great job, but without somebody being there every day, you know, doing ACN system, you know, would have never happened. Now, we are gonna talk a little bit about how to, you know, it's same, it doesn't matter if you're doing it locally or somewhere else. Obviously, it does cost more money to travel. It does takes more time to travel. So there's really no point of traveling 5 hours and spending $300 a night at a hotel and paying $500 on an airline ticket to go do the same thing you could do in your backyard when Complin's the same. But if you do end up expending somewhere, there's a way to do it. And we're gonna talk about when you say committed, you know, there's a way to do it. Like, I'm gonna tell a story a little later on. MD Ramen just started coming to Japan 2 weeks ago. And in first 5 days, 35 IBOs signed up. And first 10 days, he broke over 100 IBOs in Japan.
Wow.
And I'm gonna talk about all the things that he did for 2 weeks of time. I just spent 2 weeks with him in Tokyo, and I'm gonna talk about how he did it. And it's, you know, it's something every single one of you could apply in your own market too. So I'm gonna be talking about that in the training later. I know you guys had your hands up. Shirley, why don't you go ahead?
Mark, what's your DMO before 11 every day?
Before 11 every day? So I learned this from Mr. Bay and I still applied it. I give myself a time limit, like in the morning when I wake up around like 7, 8 o'clock latest. I'm only working out for like 45 minutes. So after that, it's like on my grind. I'm out of the house and I just do one-on-ones launches until my 6:30, 8:30, and sometimes 10:30 PBRs.
What time are you out of the house?
Out of the house? I treat it like a job, so I'm out of the house by 9:30 latest.
Wow.
So like I treat it like a job, like 9 to 5 is like my work, and then my overtime, 6:30, 8:30 is like, it's like a, you know, like I treat it like I'm an employee for my own business. So I want to, like, I developed this from, you know, I was just very blessed to have like Mr. On to see work ethic. You know, and I believe if you want to have a hardworking team, they need to see that. You can't teach work ethic, you just have to show them. And so I see Mr. On because when he moved to Texas, he was always at Starbucks. We were always at Starbucks the whole time. He was always out of, like, I never went to his place. It was only for leaderships and that was all, that was it, right? And so I developed that. Till today, like my new person I'm working with right now, she's always at Starbucks. She's always at a home. She doesn't finish, I mean, she's home at 11:30, maybe 12 o'clock. She has 2 kids, 8-year-old, 14-year-old. She's a single mom, has to pick them up and drop her off, and she's always grinding and working, and she was #1 ETL in my group last month. You know what I mean? And so, but she saw me do that, and I attracted someone that did that.
Wow.
You know, so, you know, that's one thing that I believe, you know, this is my biggest advice too, to kind of share with you. I heard this somewhere, and it kind of got me. It said, there's some people that are internally cocky and externally humble, right? Where they look like, oh yes, I'm listening, but inside they're doing their own thing, you know. But there's some people that are internally humble, externally cocky. And, you know, which means cocky, I mean not like showing off, but really knowing what you have, knowing that you're confident, knowing that we have like the best team, the best system, the best company. But when you're internally humble, you want to keep growing, you want to keep progressing. You know, and my whole team, like every day, like I'm telling my team this, I tell them every day, I'm like, I'm gonna outwork everybody. I told them one of the things that has helped me get in my RVP run, that right now I'm on my SVP run, starting new teams, starting new lines, I'm talking to more people. The one word that's in my mind is progress. Every day I have to move forward. You know, like I don't wanna, for example, like you don't go to the gym to work out, lift heavy weights for no results. What's the point? You know, why would you want to eat bad and then you're still 1 year later you're still the same? You know, you gotta progress. You know, when it comes to anything you do. So when it comes to ACN, like,
You know, that's why I told everybody, like, watch me. And so that's why I was on the TCRD RVP charts last month, not because, like, I'm good, it's just because I stopped relying on my skills and I started to rely more on my work ethic. You know what I mean? And if you're at home by 11:30, no matter what reason you have, I just believe, of course everybody's different, but you know, keep in mind I'm not in a relationship. I don't even have a puppy to take care of, like, so I can do this, you know what I mean? So I do it, I choose to do it, you know? And that's my damn puppy. I mean, I want a puppy, but I gotta hit SPP first, you know?
And then, I mean, you're really close with your family, so at what point, like, where you go, okay, this is my milestone, and then I can treat myself to do something like take the day to relax, or what is a good milestone to say, this is where I'm gonna treat myself? I already hit this.
Before Mark answers it, you're asking good questions, Charlene, but honestly, it's going to be different for everybody.
Yeah.
You know, your daily method of operation, your daily schedule is going to be different than Mark's. You know, everybody's going to be different. You know, same thing with milestone. That's all different. It all depends on what your personal motivation is and what personal desires. Now, you know, it's just got to be what you want. And it's, you know, to me, if somebody's making $5,000 a month in ACN, and if that's really, doesn't matter what they verbally say, if that's what they signed up for, that's their goal, even though they're saying I want to make big money, but really that's all they want, then, you know, then they're going to get comfortable at $5,000 a month. You know, but you listen to stories like Bill Gates, you know, a lot of people look at Bill Gates like, well, he was just genius, so he dropped out of college and he just became a billionaire out of nowhere, started Microsoft. You really listen to his full story, you know, he's had his Microsoft idea when he was 12 years old. Wow. And he started the company when he was 20, which was 8 years after. 8 years of him thinking and preparing on how he was going to one day launch that company. And after he started at 20, he talks about it. He said, until I was 32 years old, I didn't take one day off, including all holidays and all weekends. Wow. Now, you can't make somebody do that. Wow. You can't teach somebody to do that. It doesn't even make sense to you. It doesn't make sense to you to go 12 years, not a single day off, on weekend or holidays, if your dream isn't what Bill Gates had as his dream. You know what I'm saying? Like, you know, for many of us, unless you look like Michael, unless you look like Mark Isaac, unless you look like Pedro, like to us, it doesn't make sense. It doesn't even make sense when you got chocolate in front of you and you don't eat it. When there's somebody's offering you ice cream in front of you and you don't eat it, that doesn't make sense. If somebody's got, you know what I'm saying, like a good chicken parmesan sandwich and just brand new out of, you know, the kitchen, like it doesn't make sense to not eat it. But guys that look like that, like to them, it doesn't make sense to eat it. Do you get what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Because they want something different. So everybody wants something different. Like just because we're all in ACN doesn't mean we all want the same. Some of you here, if you made $100,000 a month, you'd be mad at yourself because your goal's much bigger than that. You know, if Bill Gates right now went from, you know, he probably sells a billion of his products every year. If he sold, if he only got 1 million customers this year, he'd be very, very, very upset. You know what I'm saying? Because his standard and his plans and his vision is like way up here, right? But some of us who get jacked up sideways if you got 10,000 customers this year. You know, so it all depends on what you want. There's nothing wrong with wanting $5,000 a month. And there's nothing wrong with wanting $500,000 a month. I believe 100%, 100%, before 2020, we will have multiple people in ACN that's going to break $1 million a month as a residual income. I believe that, and I believe our comp plan is designed. Many people could make 7-figure a month in residual income, and there's nothing wrong with that. But there's also nothing wrong with making $1,000 a month. So it really all depends on what you want. And all of these, more and more, as I go through working with a lot of people, you can't teach work ethic. You know, you can't tell people to not get a puppy. Like you can't tell a single mom with 2 kids to not go home until midnight. It's just something that you gotta want to do because it only makes sense for you to do it because you know that's what you gotta do to achieve whatever you want to achieve. Does that make sense to you? Yeah. So, you know, I'm not trying to stop any questions. I'm just saying, you know, I didn't want him to just answer it in a way, and some of you go, well, why would you do that? Why would you do that? Or how do you do that? I don't know if I could do that. Well, you shouldn't think that way. Everybody's just different. Does that make sense? And I'm telling you, when your dream and vision and goals are clear on whatever you want, how big or however small that is, you just got to make sure your work ethic and commitment matches that. You know, and we talked a little bit about it at the leadership even in Detroit. Like, you could lose 5 pounds in 5 years, but you could also lose 5 pounds in 5 days. Your just meal plan and workout plan is just going to be different. And 5-day plan is just going to require you to do the stuff that 5-year plan don't have to do. And either one's okay, but just make sure whatever you want, your commitment matches and actions match whatever you want. Does that make sense? So you could answer, but I just wanted to throw that out there. I just didn't want you guys to get the wrong idea of saying I can't do what Mark Isaac does. Does that make sense?
Yes. I think it's more important. I mean, there's fun times, right? Like today we got fun, didn't we? Yeah. And then there's work times. It's more important that it's planned. So there's a time to have fun, but you plan that fun, and when the fun's over, it's back to work.
Yeah.
It's more about tracking. Wealthy people track their time and their money.
Wow.
Do any of you guys have people on their team who are just like financial difficulty, and then they couldn't go to the international event, and it's crunch time? I look at those people on my team, and I'm like, why the hell are you drinking Starbucks? Only rich people drink Starbucks. Only a caramel macchiato. Yeah, $5. $5 a day before work, Monday through Friday. That's 5 days a week. That's $25 a week. That's $100 a month. That's $1,200 a year. $1,200 a year would have bought you a plane ticket and your pre-registration for an international event and your hotel, where you could have went there and changed your life. But, oh, wait a minute, then you became a TC, then you became a RD and an RVP, fired your boss. But none of that happened because you'd rather have your caramel macchiato. I know what it's like to be broke.
Dang.
Because I ate spam. You guys know spam is? Hawaii.
Oh, yeah.
But I ate spam musubi every single day for a year and a half.
Wow.
Because I got sick and tired of Jack in the Cracks. 99-cent menu and McDonald's 99-cent burgers. I'm Asian. I have to have rice and meat. So I had spam musubi and Arizona iced tea, 99 cents, the big can, every single day for like a year and a half. Wow. And it was uncomfortable.
Wow.
And my parents have money. I come from a pretty well-off family, but I want to leech or scab off of them or sponge off of them. I wanted to retire my mom. So I'll tell you guys what, it's a matter of planning your fun, planning your time. That's it. I mean, and your finances.
Yeah.
That way, when the international event comes around, they've got that money, but the discipline comes first.
Yes. What was the question?
Okay, you good.
Okay, yeah, I didn't know.
Ladies first.
The first time that you guys broke over 50 people to international or 100, what was it that you did, and what did you do to sustain that every quarter?
This is my question.
Me? You guys all said me. Here's all I remember. Mr. Danny Bay said momentum expires. All momentum expire. Are we going to teach that, sir, this week?
Tomorrow.
Okay, so you're going to hear it tomorrow.
I'm done.
But just making sure it's not the same group of people, guys. Like I would, you got, for people running your local market, Mr. Danny Bay always says Saturday training is designed for what? ETT, right? Right? To teach how to go ETT. As you're running the market, it's our job to force the results and continue to have new promotions every day and every Saturday, especially for our existing team to see that there's always somebody winning. If you just never stop the promotions every Saturday, you will always consistently have the growth. So it's more promotions. Maybe you got to master 1 a week for now. No matter what, I'm going to have somebody on Saturday get promoted, then to go to 2, then to go to 3. And eventually ours got so ridiculous, we couldn't even give any testimonies. It was just straight up first name, last name. That was it. And then at one point, ETLs had to do that because we were having TC promotion every week, right? So it was, you just got to make sure promotions, new promotion, not the old people. I never get excited. When Mark used to text me, I got another TC about to park. We go, what year did he start, right? Oh, last year doesn't count, bro. It'd be like fresh this year, last 90 days, like that's what we look for, the hot story. Because inspire our team that it's possible. That's how you slap them. Not just smack them, it's just show what's possible.
Yeah.
Awesome. Quick question. I know that we.
You said a quick question, and you're
Yeah.
taking a long
I know that we throw around numbers like $100,000 a month in network marketing like it's normal.
Who does that?
Well, I hear like network marketers say, "Oh, this guy makes $50,000 a month. He makes $100,000 a month."
ASEAN or
network marketers?
Okay.
Network marketers. And so my question is if you don't come from a very wealthy background, question number one: how do you not self-sabotage your business when you see that it's creating momentum that could get you to a level that you've never experienced? And the second question is, what did you do to overcome that?
She's first of all confused with your first question, sir.
Okay, so if you've never experienced a lot of money, if you've never ever experienced a lot of money, how do you ensure that you don't self-sabotage your business so that it can make big money? Because sometimes I've seen people.
How many of you could honestly agree with me? Our opportunity, our approach today, what we could bring and our value today to whoever we present, product-wise or the opportunity-wise, is probably 100 times better than what Tony Kupits and the founders had to bring to the table to their potential customers and IBOs 25 years ago to get from 0 to 400 million in 5 years. So what if we could go out there and do the same thing they've done with what we have now, what we could offer to people, what the opportunity we could give to people, the products we could offer to people, but do the same thing they did and implement it, do the same thing they did and don't do the things that they didn't do for the next 5 years. What could happen to your organizations? What could happen to your organizations? When Mr. Greg Provenzano says, some of you sitting here will have an organization larger than the size of ACN today, you know he means it. He's just looking for the right person to say, hey, that's me. That's me. You talking to me, Greg. Yep, keep talking to me. You talking to me, sir. That's me. That'll be me in the next 5 years. The size of ACN worldwide in 25 countries, my organization will be bigger than that in 5 years. You talking to me, Mr. Greg. He's just looking for somebody to raise their hand and say, that's me. And if one of you, or 2 of you, or 10 of you, or all of you decide to be that person and apply what they've done to start this company 25 years ago and what they created in the first 5 years with what we have now, there's zero reason, no reason for you not to have 400 million a year organization in 5 years, or some of you even bigger than that. What do you think your residual income would look like when you're doing 400 million a year? What do you think your residual income would look like if you're doing $1 billion a year? What if it's just a matter of, well, here's the deal. We all are already committed, right? Or we wouldn't be here. We already are committed to ACN. We already are committed to helping our team. We already are committed to our dreams and goals, right? Or we wouldn't be here. How many of you already do Saturday trainings every Saturday? How many of you already go anyways? So we're doing the activities. We're spending the time anyways. How many of you know next 5 years is going to go by anyways?
Yep.
For some people in ACN, 5 years will go by and their organization, their customers, their income will be similar to what it is now. But for some people, they could go from wherever they are right now to 400 million a year organization 5 years from now. And I promise you, it's not going to be they have to do 100 Saturday trainings every Saturday.
No, they also have to do one Saturday training, just like we do one Saturday training already. Next 5 years, somebody that is making same income as what they make now versus somebody that's going to be overriding 400 million or $1 billion organization and getting residual income from $1 billion organization 5 years from now, I promise you they have attended the same amount of Saturday trainings in the next 5 years. If that is so, how many of you think it would be a good idea to really, really, really master what we're supposed to do and what we're not supposed to do?
Yes.
Yep.
How many of you want to do it just the way Tony Cupids did it when he started in 25? I do. So after he talked to me about a lot of this stuff, man, I implemented it in instant second. Didn't matter how I've been saying things or doing things for over 10 years prior to what he told me when he told me just 2 days ago. So that's why I'm excited to share with you everything I've learned from Mr. Tony Cupids, plus some of our basic things that we cover at our Leadership Academy. Okay, so just remember, have a one-on-one conversation. Number 2, don't beat yourself up. Just focus on forward, on what you're going to do today forward. Okay, and number 3 is really make a mental note throughout the training what to do, but also catch yourself on things that you're not supposed to do. Mr. Michaelani is here. Can we give him a Hello, Mr. Michaelani.
I'm jacked.
Hello, sir. I mean, he just flew like 11 hours to be here.
Wow.
Because he came from Korea to Honolulu.
I'm still bouncing.
Right, Korea to Honolulu, and didn't you have like 3-hour layover, 4-hour layover in Honolulu?
No.
Oh, you just got in and you just came.
1 hour, 30 minutes later, I'm home.
Wow.
My head's spinning, but I'm jacked.
Yeah, he just arrived in Korea a couple days ago, so he's like, you know, he don't know what's going on. He's like, his time zone's so messed up, he got no time.
I don't know how Mr. Bay does it all the time. Japan, Vegas, Korea, gangster, sir.
Oh man, so everything we need to know during the academy, we got it all now, right? So we'll see you guys later. All the important things are done. We talked about it. Everybody's on the same page. We're ready. Anyways, all right. Okay. All right. So, okay. Now we said all that to say, okay. All right. How many of you have ever said or heard someone say, or you say it all the time, that our business is simple? How many of you say it all the time? Our business is simple.
Yeah.
Let's really talk about simple this thing. Okay, that's where this is going to start. Our first topic, before we go take a break, this is the part where we're going to talk about building your business. If you could really understand how to build it, and if you could understand what we're supposed to do to build it, and if you could really understand how to build it big and build it strong and build it fast, then you could really go out there and do something great with it. I mean, we just started Japan like 13 months ago, right? And we barely launched first city for electricity in December, second city in March, third and fourth city in April, and we opened up rest of them in May and June. So we only had electricity in Japan for the past 3.5 months. We just launched Flash Wireless in Japan June 26th, so it's only been 3.5 months. So even the company opened 13 months ago, I feel like Japan's been open 3.5 months. And in that 3.5 months, we promoted 4 regional vice presidents. Just last 2 weeks, we promoted over 20 team coordinators. There's a lot of promotions happening. We just promoted 2 more regional directors. We have a lady that just, her name is Guang Xianlun, like it's like Chinese name. Took me like 2 weeks to remember her name. And Guang Xianlun. And this lady, she's been in 4.5 months. She has 4 TC legs right now. Wow. And obviously no billing yet, so she's not on RVP yet. But Japan's also changing to 3,000 point requirement for becoming regional vice president November 20th, so she'll be automatic regional vice president on November 20th, which is less than 6 months in ACN. No experience in network marketing, she's just motivated, working hard. We have a guy named Arasi right above her. He's got 10 TCs now, and he's been in 6 months. No experience, he's like 6'3", tall Chinese dude. Every time I see him, I want to call him Yan Mang, but he's and you know, a lot of great things are happening. We have a lady named Ao Masu. She joined, no experience. She was an engineer for SoftBank. She joined us when we were just launching. And you know, I remember having lunch with her back in November of last year. Her saying, "Man, what am I going to do?" She couldn't get it going. We launched 2 months ago. She didn't get anything going on, and other people were hitting TC and RD, and she's like, she was frustrated, and she had like this one person quit, and she only had like 5 people. So when you got one person quitting, it's a big deal. And she was like, "I don't know what to do." You know, I remember her talking about that at lunch in November of last year. You know, this September, last month, she did a little over 400 team trainers in her team. She's a regional vice president. She got promoted, you know, late, I think July or early August. She's just killing it. She's got a team happening everywhere. She's got a lot of things happening. But what they understand is now they understand how to build business. And they're just going out there and applying what they're supposed to do to go out there and build business. So you have to understand how our business works. And if you understand it, you could go build it. And now let's talk about building our business, okay? We say it's simple all the time, so let's really look at how simple it is. Let's really take a look. Everybody have a blank sheet of paper in your mind, and up on open mind, and let's really talk about what we're trying to do here. Yes, it's true, ACN has millions of customers. Yes, ACN has a lot of ideas everywhere. But really, how do you create a company like ACN? There isn't a person, there isn't a single person that's got 10,000 personal customers. So how do you create a company like ACN? You know, all ACN is a lot of IDOs that has 5, 10, 20 customers. That's it. All ACN is, as big as ACN is. I know we're talking about next 5 years from now, some of you having 400 million a year organization. Some of you having a customer base bigger than ACN's worldwide organization right now, worldwide, in the next 5 years of time. That's possible. That's possible. But understand, if you want that to happen, you have to understand what it is first. What is ACN? All ACN is a lot of IBOs that personally got 2, 3, 5, 10, 20 customers. So really, if you think about it, here's all we want. Here's the reason why this is simple. We take someone that doesn't know anything about ACN. Ultimately, here's all we want them to do. We just want them to sign up as an IBO, switch over all their home services, whatever service they use right now, switch over to us, whatever it's possible to switch, right? Mm-hmm. And really, after that, introduce a few other people to either become IDOs or customers. True or not true, that's all we're doing here.
Yes.
Yep. Somebody that doesn't know anything about ACN, we just want to turn them into an IBO. They'll switch over their cell phone, electricity if they're in the market for it, home security, internet, TV. If they own a small business, switch, over their merchant. And just go out there and introduce a few other people to do the same. That's it. What we do isn't that complicated. This is all we do. This is all we do. This is simple. This is extremely simple. And today, we're going to spend a little bit of time talking about how to do this most effectively, fast, strong, big, and in a way where you don't put your own limit on the size of your organization. Here's the reality. You put limit on the size, whatever size of your organization or customer base is, it's only because, it's not because ACN limits you there, it's only because that's the limit you put on your current organization and your current size. based on your beliefs and your thinking and your activities and your system and your culture, whatever you do and whatever you don't do is the reason why your size is whatever it is. And just like Jim Rohn said it, you could grow that by 2, you could grow that by 10, that's not all ACM pays. That's not all that is possible in ACM. Just like Jim Rohn said, hey, is there anyone at your company making 10 times more than you? If the answer is yes, it's possible for you too. You could grow it by 2, you could grow it by 5, you could grow it by 10. All of you here could grow your income by 10. All of you here, matter of fact, in a plan like ours, at your current level, you could grow your income by 100. All of you could add a 0 or add 2 more zeros to your annual income in 2018 than you did in 2016 or 2017. That's ACM. How? If you just get really good at doing a lot of these. Is this simple, yes or no?
Yes.
Ultimately, that's all we want to do. And we're going to be talking a lot about this today and tomorrow. Here's what Mr. Tony Kupitz made me realize. Here's one of the things he made me realize. How simple it is. And really how simple what we do is. Second thing he made me realize is everything we do, everything we say, every meeting we do, everything we train, everything we talk about, every conversation with our people, every activities we do with our people, he said it's very simple. Everything we do and everything we say, it falls into one of these 3 categories. Guess what they are? Number 1, it's either going to help them to do this. Number 2, it's going to either distract them from doing this, or it's going to delay them from doing this. What we do with our people, it's either going to help them to do it, or distract them from doing it, or delay them from doing it. And when he told me that, I thought to myself, holy cow, I'm doing a lot of stuff to delay them from doing it sooner. Holy cow, I'm doing a lot of stuff to distract them from doing it better and easier right away. I'm not talking about you guys, but there are people out there, they're masters, like masters, at taking something very simple, and as soon as they explain it, it gets very complicated.
Very.
I mean, they're masters. I don't know how they do it. As soon as you hear them explain it, it's like, whoa, I don't know if I could do that. It was just how to order Flash. You know what I'm saying? No, I'm serious. I've heard some Flash training. It's like, as soon as he or she was done, I'm like, I don't know if I could order that. Can you do it for me? Why? Because the way they explained it made it so hard that it some people are masters of it. I saw some of you look at somebody else when I said it like you knew that person was doing that. Don't make it too obvious. You're like, don't make it too obvious. Now we don't sell training tapes here. Now we don't say, here's what Mr. Tony Kupitz taught me. You know why so many trainers train and train and train, and they try to make it seem like there's like this secret, like 7 secrets.
They're right there, and things are about to get crazy, and they might have done something. Or I'll talk about myself. I've seen where my business is like, I feel like it's about to take it there, and subconsciously, I did something that slowed it down without even realizing. And then later on, I'm like, well, why did you do that? Or how did you do that? How do you get over that?
Does anybody really get the Well, I recently bumped into a very wealthy guy, and he kind of heard my story, and he says, "You're starting to make some money, huh?" And I was like, "Doing all right." He says, "Don't you spend a penny of it for 6 months." And I'm like, "What?" He says, you know why? You want to know why? You want to know why, don't you? I go, yeah. He goes, because you don't know what it's like to have money in the bank account. And I was like, you're right. You gotta think about it. You don't know how to live at that level of success and get used to it. And most people miss opportunities before they settle, because once some level of comfort comes and they can now afford to eat at nicer restaurants or buy some nice clothes, as soon as money comes their way, they're bad custodians of money and they flaunt it and they squander it. And it's gone before and then they miss the opportunity. Example, if somebody came up to you and they said, hey, I want to sell you this, show me your watch. And it's $20,000 Rolex, but I'll sell it to you for $5 grand because I'm in a pinch and my mom needs to go to a surgery, and I'll sell it to you $5 grand right now. No, you just missed that opportunity. You could have grabbed that $5,000 watch and sold it the next day for 10 grand, but you didn't have the money in the bank account, so you missed that opportunity, that real estate venture, that whatever, right? So most people miss opportunities because they're not in a position or they can't recognize the opportunity. But for guys like us who are climbing this social status bar, you're going to hit levels like Mr. Bate taught us, whether it's 10 grand a month or 20 grand a month or 150 grand, 100 grand. Some people stop there because in their crazy mind of theirs, they think that's success. And obviously, there's so many millionaires and multimillionaires and even billionaires, even Donald Trump before president, wake up 5:30 in the morning and do business deals. Why? He's already got billions. Virgil Klunder, same thing. But you know what? They just love the art of the deal. They love making deals. They love making money. They love the game. Right? So I don't know if that helps with the question, but it has nothing to do with the money. It's all in that person's brain. Whereas there's floor and ceilings, and every time you hit the major leagues or you think you're a pro, there's somebody that dwarfs you. So it's just set another ceiling.
Wow.
Can I add? We have to accept the fact that we have young generations that comes into our organization, right? That they haven't seen a comma check. So I can tell this story because it happens to our family. One reason why Mark wasn't distracted on his way to RVP, because he never handled a check. He never gets his check. It goes to me. Yeah, that's right, sir? Yeah, it goes to me. So because
I got a good idea.
Yes, sir.
If you have hard time, you're on your way to SVP, you don't trust yourself, I will take all your checks for 10%. I will only charge 10% for managing your money. I think that's a good deal. If you keep it, you're going to use it all. Basically, you're going to waste it all. That's a good deal. Stop. I'll manage it until you go SVP, 10% commission. Me and Stuart will do it together. Sorry, go ahead. I looked at it as an opportunity.
Actually, that helps because we lost a lot of young kids that earn few thousands of dollars. They think that they are already successful, they splurge, and then they're gone. Right? So, but because Mark didn't get that money at all, so he's working.
Wow. Makes sense. Thank you.
Sasha.
So Mr. Danny Bay says, like, when you're talking to your team, you should say, like, I don't know, come to training. Like, for me, I do the flash training, and my team's really spoiled. So, like, to say, I don't know, they're like, what do you mean you do the training? And, like, what my dad did to me, like, I didn't take it personally because he's my dad. But how do you, like, balance it for, like, other people? Like, having that balance where you give them just enough information to help them, but not the whole thing where you're doing the whole thing yourself, and they're not learning anything to a customer.
Does that make sense?
Hey, makes sense, bro. Loud and clear, first time. They didn't get it. Say, man, let's give the other guys that haven't had a chance to answer. Basically, I know on Saturday, yesterday, we had a ETL leadership, and we're going to be talking a little bit about it in a bit, but we're basically talking about how to promote Saturday training. And if anybody's asking any questions throughout the week, as you guys know, we say, hey, I don't know, but this Saturday we're going to be, we have a training. It's going to be teaching us everything we need to know to be successful, and and use that as tool to promote the training better. And basically, she's asking the question because she does a lot of trainings here. People ask, what is the best thing to do, and kind of balance to make sure that she's still promoting the training, and not be the person to answer all the questions since she's doing the training on Saturday. You know what I'm
I
saying?
think it depends what level leader they are. If they're brand new, it's Saturday. If they've been to like 10 trainings and they're your leaders, you answer it, right? Right? It really depends on what level they are. Are they new? Have they been around 30 days, 60 days, 90 days, right? So it all depends on the level, in my opinion. You guys?
Perfect. Perfect.
I have a question. So I do a lot of cold marketing because I'm constantly like, I get momentum, and then for some odd reason, one way or another, it's just the way it is, right? Some people quit. So how do you keep like from burning out, from like always talking to people, always creating a new list, always being on that constant like, okay, I gotta talk to this amount of people every single day, and then like either guests don't show up, they do show up, whatever happens to them, and then you're just kind of like, okay, like what do I do next? What do I do next? But how do you keep that constant like, okay, I have to keep cold marketing, or like how do you?
It's such a good question. This coming Saturday at the Saturday training.
Are you getting tired of it?
Yeah, like I'm at that point where it's kind of like burning me out.
Okay, that's like Michael Phelps saying, I don't like the smell of chlorine water. That's like Tiger Woods saying, I hate putting. And that is like Magic Johnson saying, I hate slam dunking basketballs. Okay, love the sport, change your attitude, because that's what we do. And the reason why you're getting burned, I understand physically burning out, but you won't get burned out if you love it. Okay, so you haven't been in long enough where you've seen somebody that you've cold marketed, like off a gas station, which is where that led us to Japan. So we had a guy who's not here named Rob Flores, and he was driving a nice sports car in Chevron gas station, and another guy named Chris rolled up in a Toyota Solara, and he's like, hey man, nice car. He goes, yeah, you want one? He says, yeah. He's like, give me your number. I'll show you how to get one. Anyway, long story short, he got that car, and through taprooting and networking, we found Kenji and Tama Hoffman.
Wow.
One guy who opened up all of Japan for us. Wow. So think about that next time you are at a gas station. It's gonna make you, okay? How happy do you think our Japan team is? How many lives have they affected? Especially after the tsunami and the earthquake, including my own in some indirect way. And it took time and energy and effort and heartache and toil, and there was times I thought I was gonna burn out, but if you ask me now, okay? So love it. I understand you're getting frustrated. There's low trust level when you're cold marketing. I cold market a lot. But are you cold marketing to build your business and your paycheck and your residual? Or are you cold marketing to help that individual change their life? If you shift the focus to them, you won't get burned out anymore.
So true.
You'll love them anyway.
Bad, sir.
This is really good. I'm really enjoying it.
Which part? Us making fun of each other, or actually questioning?
I'm going to piggyback on her question. Similar. I've never had momentum. I don't believe I have. And Mr. Hahn will probably agree with that.
Well, we haven't even hit if you're market yet.
But I've heard everybody, I hear it all the time, momentum always plateaus. What have you guys, when you face that, what are some of the things you've done to overcome it? Like a Michael Jordan plateauing and pushes, he gets a second win. How do you do that?
He's looking straight at me, so are you asking me pretty much? He's like, shh. So plateau, as in my grammar, sometimes not the best. My whole team knows that. Plateau means what? Fall. Fall. Like fall?
No,
Wait, before anyone answers, let me give you the pre-answer to all their answers. If you've lost momentum, if it's even teetering off, it's not that you've been screwing up or doing something wrong or lack of doing something for the last few weeks. It happened months ago, and it's only showing up now.
Wow.
So if you're already plateauing off, you better look not like, what did I do last week? Did I not do this? No. Like 2 months ago, 3 months ago, 6 months ago, you were already kind of doing something or not enough, or not doing something right. And it's only now. It's like, there's a DNA of network marketing, right? First you recruit, and if you're like Victor Fusamati, you're like, and so many people are joining your team. It's growing so fast that you don't have much time to train. So because you got a whole bunch of people that are inexperienced and not trained well enough, then at some point, there's so many new Indians and not enough chiefs that it kind of starts to plateau, right? So then you start questioning everything, but there's not as much production, and you're not launching as many people. So you're like, oh, we gotta train. So your training starts coming up. You train, and then all of a sudden, everyone starts getting smarter, more sharper, and better, and more influence, and then your production comes up. So you're always chasing production with training, like a double helix.
Wow.
Kind of like.
And I think Mr. Danny Bay is the best to answer that, since you signed up 250,000 people in the last few years in ACS.
A little more than that, but I'm just kidding, man.
Just 5% of views.
You know, like when Mr. Trump used to come to our convention once a year, and he used to give a really pretty powerful talk. I think his talks at our convention were much better than any time he talks on TV lately. And I gotta say, he talked about the time when he lost everything. I mean, and that stuck with me. I mean, he said it probably 2 or 3 times at our convention. And what he said was he was a billionaire when the big recession came and real estate market crashed big time. He went from being a billionaire to being in almost $1 billion in debt. He talked about the story at a convention. He said him and his ex-wife was walking down on New York City on the street, and he pointed at a homeless guy and said, hey, he was telling his ex-wife, he said, do you know that guy's worth $1 billion more than me? And she's like, is he that rich? Why is he there? No. Assuming that he's got nothing. He's worth $1 billion more than me because he was in almost $1 billion in debt. Wow. But he said here's 2 things that he did that got him back up to becoming a multi-billionaire. He said he went back to basics and he worked harder than ever before.
Wow.
And he told that story like 2 or 3 times at our conventions. And one time when he was sharing the story, he talked about the banquet with all the bankers. He didn't want to go. And he simply said, I went to basics and worked harder than ever before. And from there, I had to do the things that I didn't want to do. Last thing I wanted to do was go to a banquet, black tie banquet, with all the bankers in Wall Street. Why? Because he owed every person that was coming there money. He said every person that was coming, he owed him money. He didn't want to go. His secretary said, you gotta go. He said, no, I don't want to go. And he said he went. And because he went, was that your alarm clock to wake up after dinner or what? But he said he went because his secretary said, you gotta go. He said, I don't want to go. And his secretary made him go. And he went. And he was assigned seat banquet, and he was sitting right next to the guy he owed the most. And he owed this guy like a few $100 million. And he was the last guy he wanted to see at the banquet. But at that dinner, here's this guy who was like known to be the most hardcore guy. He doesn't forgive anybody.
Wow.
They actually had a good conversation. He actually liked Trump.
and he actually forgave him for his debt
Wow.
at that dinner.
Wow.
And he said that is the only reason he was able to come back up. He said if that didn't happen, he would have never came back up. But it happened because he went back to basics, he worked harder than ever before, and he did the things that he actually didn't want to do at the time. Now in our business, here's what I do. Like tonight, before we're done, we're going to talk about some of the journeys of ups and downs in my career. And since last year, some of you guys were there last year, some of you guys weren't there, this is your first training, I had a lot of stuff happen in the last 12 months because we opened up Japan and we had a lot of things happen in opening up Japan and last 13 months. A lot of good things and a lot of not so great things. But I applied the same thing that I've been teaching and I've been talking about at our Leadership Academy of what happens when momentum isn't there. I applied the same thing, which we're going to talk about later on. And in details of what we do in ACN to make that happen, I'm going to talk about later. But really, the bottom line is, applying what Trump said, is go back to basics and work harder than ever before. And, just do even the areas and do the things that you don't want to do. You just do it at that time, and it gets you back up. If you've done it once, honestly, you could do it again. And a lot of times, if you're experiencing momentum up and down, here's a reality. A lot of times, your first momentum, you don't know why it was created. And that is the reason why you feel like you're doing the same thing and you're not getting the same results. Because it wasn't all you. Somebody that was working with you, somebody, or maybe timing of it, of the new product or convention or event or whatever. It was just, a lot of it happened without you understanding. And that's why a lot of people look for other reasons to, or other things that could, they're hoping other things could happen to get their business up because they really didn't create all that on their own. But part of the reason why we do an academy like this once a year is because we want you to understand how momentum is created. We want you to understand how to sustain that momentum. We want you to understand how to advance that momentum. 9 secrets and 12 secrets. You know why? Because they're in the business. They're not in a business of doing this. They're in a business of selling more trainings. They're in the business of selling more videos. They're in the business of selling more books. They're trying to get you to buy their $1,000 training program. They're trying to have you buy their next book coming out. They're trying to have you, that's why on Facebook and Instagram, you're bombarded with all these people making, there's this secret of doing this, secret of doing this. We did a leadership at Mr. Stuart Stan's Maui office yesterday with details and above, and our first thing we talked about, you know what the secret is? There's no secret. The secret in ACN is the fact that there is no secret. There is no secret. We do this. we take somebody that doesn't know ACN. All we want is we want them to sign up as an IBO, switch over their services, and introduce few people. That's all we want them to do. What secret do you need to do that? What magic pill do you need to get them to do that? What Kool-Aid do you need to get them to drink to do that? There is no secret. But a lot of the videos and a lot of books, they try to make it seem like there, is more and more and more. And the reality is, what Mr. Tony Cupid's made me realize is, there is no secret, and they're doing it only because they want to sell you more of that stuff. But we don't need it. We should never train that way. Anytime we're training, anytime we're talking, we need to make sure that we become a master of making simple things sound simple, but also, if you become a great trainer, all great trainer is someone that understands how to even make things that are as complicated look and sound simple enough for anybody to follow and do. Not a trainer. See, anytime, and we're going to be spending a lot of time even later today and tomorrow on how you become an expert trainer. If you're in this room, you need to become a great trainer. Here's what Mr. Tony Kupitz made me realize. He said, you could have 100,000, you want 1,000 presenters. And they don't have to be great, just like he talked about it in the trade. You don't have to be great presenters because all we're doing is sorting anyways, and we're going to talk about that. But really, trainers has to be great. Every marketplace, trainers have to be great. That way, when you sort with good or bad presenters, just sharing the information and sorting and sorting and sorting, when they come to training, trainers have to be great. And all of us here as excellence organizations, TCs and above, you have to become a great trainer. Because without a great training in your marketplace, just like I talked about in Detroit, we create momentum by a lot of exposures of PBRs and a lot of invites to BOMs and PBRs, right? Yeah. But really, second phase of momentum was what? Sustaining momentum comes from what? Enrolling everybody into the system. Yeah. How many of you had already this happen to you before? You had great momentum started, and you have 5, 10, 20, 30, 50, 100, I don't know how many IBOs signed up. But that same activity and same momentum wasn't there 2 or 3 or 4 months later. What happened? You created a momentum, you didn't sustain the momentum. Only reason, one thing, we talked about it, is because you didn't get the people that signed up, you didn't enroll them into the system. And only way you could enroll them into the system effectively is if your system is good. What is system being good? It simply means you need to become a good trainer. Your local markets have to have excellent trainings. Our system training, our weekly training every Saturday has to be excellent. It has to be so good, and we all need to become such a good trainers that when we recruit, and when we get a lot of people to do this and enroll them into the system, they stick because our trainings are good. Does that make sense to you? And so that's the part that we come in. Now, do ETTs and ETLs know how to train good? No. Do they need to know how to become a better trainer? No, not right now. But we do. Because we represent RGV market. We represent Hawaii market. We represent Houston market. We represent California market. We represent North California or Maryland market. And we have to make sure we become great trainers, and you will. It's not hard to become a great trainer if you know why you're supposed to do it. If you understand what you're supposed to do, why you're doing it, how to do it, and we're going to be talking about all those things today and tomorrow. If you understand how to train properly, Mr. Tony Kupitz taught me one point by point. I'm going to be sharing with you everything he taught me about how we could become great trainers. All you have to do is just apply that, and you could become a great trainer. Does that make sense to you? But going back to this, everything we're doing is either helping or distracting or delaying. And just without even me listing or explaining, if you think about the things that you do, just ask yourself, whatever I do with my people, is that helping, or is that distracting, or is that delaying? And I don't know about you, for me, this cut out half of the activities that I was doing. That made a list for me on things not to do. Remember earlier we talked about, yes, it's important to do the right things, but it's also important to not do the things that we're not supposed to do. Anything that you're doing is distracting or delaying, stop doing. I wish I had the power to move this, because here's what I want to do. Here's what he did with me. On paper, he wrote this down. And you know what he did? He folded it, and bam, he moved this over here and got rid of this. Only do the activities that helps people to do this. He wrote it down. And oh, wow! Did you see that visual impact? What he did? Oh my God! That's all I have to do. Don't do this. Don't do this. Just do this. If you're talking to people, if you're overtraining people, if you're overwhelming people, if you got a lot of unnecessary meetings and activities happening that's not helping someone to go from here to just do this. We could go home right now. So you're like, my God, I've been distracting people. Somebody hasn't even switched over all their services yet. Somebody hasn't even signed up. Somebody hasn't even went and introduced to people yet, and you already have 4 or 5 meetings with them. What did you talk to them about? They've been in for a week. You already talked to them 10 times. You already texted back and forth 20 times. They already been to 2 events, and they haven't done this. What did you do with them? I'm not talking to you. I'm talking to the person behind you. We're distracting them and delaying them from, remember, all we want them to do is just sign up, switch over services, introduce new people.
Wow.
That's how you get millions of customers. That's all we do. That's all we do, and that's how you're going to build a $400 million a year organization. $1 billion a year organization. That's all we do. We got 0 reason to complicate this. No reason. Is this simple?
Yes.
Yes. It's very simple. What we do is very simple. And I know we've been saying it, but I'm hoping that today it's very clear to you that yes, it really, really is simple. And we just have to keep it simple. Because we're the ones, as we learn more, we make it complicated. When we learn, you have to unlearn. And also, when we learn and you become professional, you have to make it, it's like this. They add more features to these smartphones all the time, right? Is smartphones getting bigger every year? Because they're adding more features and adding more whatever they add in there? No, it's like getting simpler and simpler and simpler. You becoming a professional doesn't mean you get more complicated. Then we should be carrying an iPhone 10 that's like this big. Part of becoming a professional is making everything even simpler and simpler and simpler and simpler. Does that make sense? And if we could all do a great job doing that and simply just stop doing all this and help people to do this, that's all we do. Now here's how it works, okay? In building a business, I like to use pipeline as an example, but really ultimately, here's the 3 main things that has to happen for this to happen. Okay? We all know what it is. We invite, we present, and we train. We invite, we present, and we train. Now in between, because before and after activities are there, before the presentation we invite, and after the presentation, we do little things like we close, and we launch, and we promote. Why? Simply because we want to get them to a training so we can make sure these things are done properly, right? And after training, we just get together and we take action with them. We take action with them. Why? Because we want these orders to be complete. Why? Because we want to make some 3-way calls and get them to introduce few people. So really, we look at it like a pipeline, where when you look at a pipe, I like to compare it to a pipe because it kind of makes you realize where you're dropping the ball. You know, once a year we talk about this at the Leadership Academy. I look at my business, and this tonight, the reason I need you to be sober for yourself, even if you have a cocktail or 2 or a glass of wine, because we're gonna do. Sometimes at a Leadership Academy, I actually made some like leadership report, your own report for yourself, and I've done some of that before. But today it's gonna be good because tonight I'm going to get you to log into your back office, and I'm going to show you when I look, things that I look. At least once or twice a month, I make a report like this for myself. And if I'm working on a project with senior vice presidents or regional vice presidents or team coordinators or even at ETL level, I kind of make a report of this. Here are the things that I look at of that person if I'm really working with that person to take them to go higher. Does that make sense? So I'm going to get you to log in. I'm going to take you step by step on where to go to look at what information that's important for you to understand what you're doing good and what you're not doing good in developing leaders. So we're going to do that tonight, and that's part of the reason I need you to be sober, because you're going to be able to look at your screen. So you're going to be sharp later tonight. Anyways, but going back to building your business here, going back to doing this, invite, we present, and if you want to just list up the activities that we actually have to do in between these, we close, and we launch people, we promote, train, and we take action with them. You know, I talk about it at our Leadership Academy once a year, that here's someone that doesn't know anything about this, and here's someone that's taking action, running, which means they did this, okay? You want to make sure your recruiting pipe goes all the way here. A lot of people in our industry, the mistake, most common mistake they make is their pipe ends right here. They invite and present and close and sign them up, and they think they're recruiting, they're building a team, they're building a business, pipe ends there. And they wonder what happened after that. Here's what Mr. Tony Cupid said to me 2 weeks ago. If somebody signs up 10 people, and next week, they have the same amount of people as they did before signing up those 10 people at their Saturday training, they're not building business. He said, I'd rather have somebody sign up 10 people and have 10 people at a training than have somebody that sign up 100 people and have nobody at a training.
Huh.
That's what Mr. Tony Cupid said to me last week. How many of you understand that?
Yeah.
Now, sometimes if you're not careful, you rather take somebody that signs up 100 people that don't go to a training than 10 people that go to a training. How do I know? Because I look at some of you guys' numbers and pictures on Facebook of your Saturday training count, and your actions tell me sometimes our focus have missed it, where that's where our focus is. Our pipe is ending here. Now, after today and tomorrow, Mr. Michael Allen already knows what I'm going to talk about regarding this. Mr. Tommy Lee and Mr. Stuart Stan already knows what I'm going to talk about regarding this, which we're going to talk about a little later before 3 o'clock. We're going to learn, we're going to master how to promote Saturday training like we have never done before.
Oh, yeah.
Like after this week, I'm telling you, every marketplace Saturday training headcount will go through the roof. Your Saturdays, after you go home tomorrow, every market we do business in, your Saturdays will not have enough chairs. I mean, if it takes 2-3 weeks to fill up because you're not on chairs now, within a couple of weeks, there will be no chairs left in your room. Every single market Saturday training is going to grow to a level like you have never experienced before. Mr. Tony Cupid told me this last week. I was like, whoa. I mean, it was almost like verbally we're talking, and it was almost like 3 straight punches into my face at the same time. It was like it was like that. It was like it hit me that hard. It hit me that hard. And we're all going to go home knowing exactly what to do. Very simple, something very easy to implement in your marketplaces. And this alone is going to get your Saturday training headcount up insanely. But anyways, you got to make sure that your pipe doesn't end here. And here's the deal. Anytime your recruiting count or Saturday training attendee count isn't where you want to be, you want it to be, you just got to look at the pipe. And it would tell you where the leak is. Water goes here. If you're inviting a lot, now first of all, if nothing's going in, nothing's going to come out. So that's why we focus most on inviting activities. That's why we do a lot of 3-way calls and inviting. Like if you're not a 3-way call master yet, and if you're 2 seasons above, I know some of you just became team coordinator, you got to become a master of 3-way calls. Like I look back, and even now, I'm such a big believer of 3-way calls. First of all, I grew up on them. I mean, I can honestly say I've done probably over 10,000 3-way calls. Like, I love 3-way calls. You put somebody on the phone with me, they peak, pass, I take the phone, I set up an appointment. I mean, because once you really understand it, you know, we've been talking about this at every academy every year. Some of you guys that's been to last year or the year before, you heard me say this. You need to get good at this. If you really want to become a professional, you get good at this, you could be dropped off. You could be shipped somewhere. You don't speak the language. You could go to any city, any country, don't even know the language. Within 30 days, you should have a team of over 100 people or more in that marketplace because you truly understand what we're supposed to do and how to create momentum and how to create events. That's part of the reason why we do these trainings. And we're going to be talking a lot about that tonight, tomorrow. And you may not master it the first year, but by learning it, you know, inputting it in here and apply it throughout the year and maybe 2 or 3 times, really hearing the same message, similar message and applying it at the, you know, level of business that you're experiencing at the time, you're gonna get it. I mean, you cannot, our business is simple enough. If you really pay attention to everything we talk about and apply it and apply it and apply it and apply it and stay consistent with it, it's not that hard. It's not a talent. You don't have to be born with special talent. Every single one of you could get good at this to a point where you could be like Mr. Mark Isaac. You could be like Mr. Mike Lyon. You could literally go to any place, any city, in 30 days. When Mr. Mike Lyon said, I'm going to build California, bam, he went. In first 30 days, he's got an event there of almost 100 people. Every single one of you could be that person. Every single one of you could get to that level if you just learn not 1,000 things, just a few things, and just do it right. And so we're going to be talking a lot about that. So really, rest of the time of a few more questions. I wouldn't ask so much questions about momentum going up and down. We're going to be talking a lot about that tonight and tomorrow. If you have any questions about their story of what they went through, or what maybe something else other than getting momentum up and all that stuff. Okay, because we're going to be talking about that. You guys just start talking. We got too many hands, so you start talking.
So for Mr. Emmanuel Isaac and Julie Isaac, when you guys are building the business as a couple, how do you deal with disagreements? You think this is right, but then your wife thinks this is right. What do you do?
Oh, you're in trouble tonight.
There we go.
Oh.
Pressure.
That's you want to know the truth? That's the hardest part, especially myself. It's because I'm always the guy that provide for the family, right? And I was on the top of my corporate job. So when I did ACN, in my mind, I know everything. Yeah,
That's so true.
And I know everything.
That's so true.
For the past, we've been married for 30 plus years now. But ever since we got married, all my wife said, yes, yes, yes. She doesn't question me at all.
Come on.
But when we
coming, Mike.
when we started ACN, guess what? At the beginning, I wasn't coachable. I said, shut up. I know this, right? But in reality, he's better than me in ACN.
That's so true.
Dude.
I think it's good for you to listen, the two of you, because Michael knows that he notices that it's my wife that is good in this business. And when I said a while ago that when I started becoming coachable to both of them, that's when the business started going on. So if you are the one that like me, my suggestion, sir, be humble.
Never say no to your wife.
Yeah.
Jesus.
And Mr. An said,
He's so happy right now.
Yeah, it's just the truth.
June doesn't like your answer, sir.
But when you become RVP, you like my answer. When you become RVP, you like me.
right, anybody else? We're gonna take questions for 10 more minutes.
Both of you come Saturday training. We're gonna come.
So personally, I come from an area of Houston, not very affluent, just kind of lower income generally. So naturally, that's where the majority of my team is. I spoke with Mark briefly about this, but just seeing if we can expand or get any more clarity. Along with that market is the same network. The mindset's just not all there as far as just what they think is possible for them. So the natural issues I'm coming across right now is more so on the money side and financial and just their network. So my question is, should I be focusing on saying who do you know to kind of go into a different side of the town that's better, or am I using that as an excuse and should really just focus there?
I'll answer that because I haven't worked with so many broke markets before. You got to work with what you have while working towards what you want, right? You don't just dump them. You have a lot of time, more than you think. So you can't just ditch your team, work them, get them better and train. But I do know one thing, even in broker markets, I know people can find the money because I was so broke, my card maxed out, my mom was financially done. So like I know how to still find the money. So when I meet people, I understand they might come from lower, but everybody knows somebody too, and you kind of want to have both. You don't want just only kids on your team. You also don't want, just only, rich people on you. You got to be able to work with everybody. I have people on my team, even in this room. Do you know there are a lot of people, or a few, that are millionaires before ACN? I'm not going to say whose names. They look obvious, I'm joking, right? But at the same time, there's people like me. I had nothing. Mr. Isaac was earning multiple six figures, corporate America person. Mark was a kid. You know what I mean? Tommy owned the business. Stuart's like a government here, like governator, right? So you got to work with what you got while looking for what you have, because you have a lot of time. Are you full time now?
No, sir. I work full time.
Cool. Let's go full time now.
Yes, sir.
I'm just joking.
Thank you.
Mary?
Yeah. How would you handle? Because I've been tracking a lot of the objections that I've been getting from my personal guests. A lot of them don't have a lot of confidence in themselves, and not just my guests, it's a lot of my existing IBOs that have done like 30 apps before, 20 apps before, you can tell that they have a lot of potential, but when you try to have a conversation with them, they always say, I know I can do it, but I just don't believe in myself. I don't know how to, the minute they say that, I don't know what to say to them. So how would you?
You're looking at me and talking.
No, I'm talking to everybody.
Okay. Who just? I'm sure you don't want the Isaac's answer, right? Because you're always
Yeah.
so this side.
So you have IBOs that were producing at one point and then aren't producing, they're demotivated?
Like ATLs and above. I've even had some RDs say that to me.
The only thing that I've known that works is going out and building a new group and showing it's possible to the existing team, and they're going to just rise or they're going to stay the same.
What about like a lot of my more than 50% of my objections is I don't believe in myself.
Great. I believe in myself. Don't worry. That's why I'm recruiting you. If you knew you thought you could do it and you believed in yourself, you'd already be doing it. Trust me. Let me lead the way. I'll show you. That's straight up. I didn't believe in myself. I'll be honest. I was a cold market. The first guy I ever met, I promise you guys, I'll be honest, I kind of thought it was a scam and still wanted in off that person's companies.
Dang.
Straight up. Straight up. Oh, I believe in you more than you believe in yourself. All this crazy. I was like, oh, damn. I called my friends. They're like, I think it's a pyramid. And I was like, I think so too, but we're going to be on top.
Well, I think there's so many answers to that one. One is selling the system. 1, 2 is selling the power of network marketing. Obviously, it's not about us, right? Yeah. Most of us are just in pursuit of looking after somebody better than us. And because the system is in place, it takes over the human margin of error. So they think their success is equal to how good they are. When in reality is network marketing is about the power of exponential growth and building a massive team, which will build you massive customer base, which will in turn build you a massive residual income, and then they get what they want. So they think, I've got to build all this. No, you got to find the first couple of people who will find a couple of people who find a couple of people, and they'll have success. So they're scared because they think their success is dependent on them, and their fear that they're going to be a failure. And saying, don't worry about it. It's not even about you. We need to just go out and find a couple of good people.
As RVP and above, starting from Mr. Isaac Martin, can you tell me your most effective PD, whether it's audio, gym room, and which exactly was it?
Really, first one was Mr. On gave me how to build your network marketing business, and then I met Mr. Bay, and till today, Challenge to Succeed is still in my car.
Yep.
For the last, oh man.
Best audio.
Yeah,
Yep.
last 6 years. Yeah, I haven't taken that out of my car, Challenge to Succeed.
Amazing.
Thank you.
Proverbs.
Challenge to Succeed. We still have that one in our curriculum.
For me, challenge to succeed and 21 laws. I live by those two.
Still have Challenge to Succeed in my car too.
That is in my car right now. We can go check it. And that and building a network marketing business. 5 CDs for Challenge and 1 CD in the 6 CD shuttle. That's all that's in my there. Why? Because every time I got in Danny Bay's car, from when he had his S500 to his S550 to his higher end cars, including his Bentley, Challenge to Succeed is in there to this day.
I like the 5 levels of leadership with John Maxwell, because in our business we're looking for leaders, and until you can develop into the person you want to find, you have to do it first. It's great.
Mr. Bay.
Me?
98.5. 98.5. Challenge to Succeed.
Thank you.
All right, hold on. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Only one person answer. Super fast. Let's start with Sheila. And Sheila, well, you know who you are. Okay, we're gonna go 6 real quick.
So actually, my question is the flip side of Adams, because when we were at the last convention, one thing that Mr. Provenzano said that resonated with me and really slapped me in the face is he said, if you have a chicken list, you're not 100% committed. But I don't want to do anything else but ACM for the rest of my life. But I still have 95% of my contact list that I haven't contacted. So obviously, I guess I'm not 100% committed because the demographic is also totally different from Adams. So Mr. Isaac always said.
After tomorrow, you're gonna want to contact them.
Okay.
Mr. Mark Isaac, can I hear an example of you selling yourself, selling the vision, all the while selling what Jay would want, the prospect? I just want you to do it.
Well, so this is how I do it. You know, I tell them my success story. You know, I was able to hit team coordinator within a few months. You know, I did X, Y, Z. So I share my success story, and I owe it to the system. So it doesn't seem like I'm the man. I'm the man that can follow a system. You know what I mean? So well, I'll tell them I hit RVP at 21 years old, youngest in the world of ACN. But the reason why is because I have amazing leaders like Mr. Danny Bay, Mr. Michael, that I get to follow, and I'm just coachable to them. So I'll sell myself of what I've done, but I'll owe it to someone else in the system, because I wanted them to get started knowing that, yes, you can listen to me because I'm like the messenger, you know? But when you want to work hard so you can get their attention also. See, I treat ACN like a game. So that's how I sell myself and also the system.
Who's next?
For Mr. On and Mr. Mark. Because I have a really young team. Usually they have a lot of emotion, they complain a lot more, they expect more instant gratification, and then you have a shorter term vision. But to get past that for the team, is suggesting PD the best thing to do, or should I try to do more being understanding to a point where I almost feel like I'm babysitting, or just enough to taproot and find a story that makes them realize what's possible by being 100% coachable and working past that?
You're younger, I'm older.
Okay, so like I'm a fanatic of like personal development. So like for example, when Mr. On gave me that CD, like he told me this later on, and I don't know if he remembers, but he said he asked me, so what's your favorite? Like he said, text me what your favorite part was. And I would text him right after I listened to it, and I realized he was sorting for leaders to see who would actually listen to the CD. So I believe no matter what your age is, no matter what it is, because I've seen young people that have short-term vision. I've seen, more. I've seen.
It's okay to say old. It's
Okay,
fine.
young at heart. Yeah, older people that have short-term vision also. So I'm a believer. You're always sorting no matter what. My group right now is so diverse, but I'm just sorting no matter what. So I'll even give someone that doesn't matter who. I love the Jim Rohn CD. I like giving it out. And I'll say, hey, call me what you like best about it. Or I'll ask them like a day later, so what's your favorite part about it? Because that CD, I really believe, is a good foundation. You know what I mean? It's a good foundation. And that's your sorting, you're looking. And you spend 80% of your time with the 20% that will get you 80% of the results. You know what I mean? So our responsibility as leaders, I remember Greg Provenzano saying, is that we're not responsible for their success, but we're responsible to it, which is creating an environment. You know, I believe that people that just plug into the environment that we're responsible for will make it. But the ones that we focus on does it faster. You know what I mean? And so that's what I do in order for me to identify those leaders.
Works absolutely. And now that you answered that, I realize now that there's older people that are the exact same way. So you're just sorting in. It just hit me like, not just young people are like this.
Wait.
So just treat it as if every equal playing field that you're sorting for just leadership material in no matter what age.
That's right. Mark Isaac signed up when he was 19. George Zellick signed up when he was 60.
Wow.
What's next? Nicole, go ahead.
So, with one of my younger groups, the culture right now is that a lot of them have zero awareness, and I know that Mr. Michael says, awareness is the hardest thing to teach. But when you're trying to help them create a culture, what's happening is a lot of brand new people are coming in, but the culture is, they're saying things that aren't the right things. How do you talk to them without slapping them and hurting them because they get really offended?
Yeah, you don't want to slap them, just kick them.
How do you not offend them but still let them know it's what you're saying?
Yeah. Oreo cookies. Okay, hey guys. If I knocked on your front door tomorrow at 8 a.m. and you open it up and I slapped you in the face, and the next morning I came in and I was like, 8 a.m. you open the door, slap you in the face. Third day I knock on the door. Not answering the door, right?
Master a three-way call yet. You have to master becoming a three-way call expert. And if you need a script, your upline RVP, or we could provide a script for you on how you should be able to take the phone and confirm these appointments, setting up three-way calls. I actually I'm such a big believer. In Korea, I did a whole session on, we call the training topic a call party master. And I did a whole hour session on really mastering how to do call parties. And all it was mastering how to invite, what to say, what not to say, and really how to really become good at three-way calls. And I have some actor and actresses that are IBOs in Korea that are like RDs and TCs and ETLs. They loved it. I mean, as soon as it was done, they got together with their team. They memorized the script, because they're actors. They loved every word of it. And because I even put down where they should smile, where they should laugh and giggle. And we went into the detail of the script like nobody's mama. And he and she, they just read it to the T. He said it's unbelievable. I laughed when you said to laugh, and the other person laughed, and they relaxed, and the whole conversation was better. So you want to get good. You want to get good at three-way calls. And you got to, why? Because if you get good at three-way calls, you could control the inviting activities. Now, if you tell people to go home and do it, they don't do it. Why? Because they don't want to, because their phone is 2,000 pounds in the beginning on their own. Like I was telling all the people in Korea, and we did the same training in Japan a couple of weeks ago, teaching three-way calls. Like, you know, it's like a trainer. Like, horrible trainer is telling somebody, hey, all right, you go do it. Every good trainer, they do it with you in the beginning. Is it not true? I mean, if they got you lifting, they're holding with you in the beginning. You know, if they want you to do a certain move, they're doing it with you first couple steps. Now, you finish, they don't finish, because they're the trainer, but they do it with you every time, in every move, when you do it with the trainer. Is it not true? I mean, we got some buff people in the room, you know what I'm talking about, right? Right, Pedro? Right, Mike? Right? Trainer is holding you, spotting you, right, Mark? You know, like they're doing it with you in the beginning. And that's what three-way call is. So you want to control amount of people, amount of water going into the pipe, and you got to master three-way call as TC is and above if you want to always have consistent flowing of water going into the pipe, because more you goes in and your pipe is set up right without a crack somewhere, more it's going to come out, obviously, right? So, but if somebody has a lot of invite going in, but nobody's signing up, you're looking at, wow, I had all that gas, and nobody's signing up, then what does that mean? You got a crack right here. You got bad presentation. Or maybe presentation is great, but maybe you're just not closing. But wherever the crack is, you got to know. See, it's like there's no problem as long as you know what the problem is. In our business, there's nothing you can't fix. It's all easy. Like if you got a lot of invites and if you got a lot of people at a presentation, but you just are not closing, then we just got to work on your closing a little bit. Maybe you're not asking. Maybe you're just talking. Maybe you're just delaying. Maybe you're just, you know, you're confusing after the presentation. Maybe you're busy explaining more instead of signing them up. Instead of saying, hey, do you see an opportunity with us? Do you see the vision of how this could improve your life? Do you see an opportunity for you to, you know, create residual income with us? Do you see an opportunity in this, you know, wireless business? Do you see an opportunity in this energy market? Or whatever it may be in your marketplace, whatever closing that you're learning, maybe, you know, some people are not doing. Maybe you're doing a great job closing and you're signing up all these people, but nobody's getting qualified. Well, that means that there's a crack right here. Nobody's getting launched. I love launching. Let me explain why. How many of you ever heard, or you say it yourself, that we're in the sorting business? Yes. We're sorting to find the right people to come. We're sorting the right people to join, right? After they join, are we done sorting or are we still sorting? What are you sorting for? Leaders. How many of you want to meet your future SVPs in your team? Yes. Only time you can meet them one-on-one is your launch. Like to me, it's my interview to see if this dude or this girl is worth my time. Launch is where I'm sorting. I love launching because that's when I'm looking to see, all right, hey, does this person have an eye of a tiger? Is this person burning with desire? Because if they are, I'm going to be investing a lot of time. I'm getting their phone number. I'm giving them my phone. I'm going to be texting this dude every day. I'm going to be calling this dude every week. Do you get what I'm saying? Yeah. But I wouldn't know that if I don't launch it. My IPOs invited them, brought them to a presentation. They did all that. Now I'm the one that's hungry for leaders in my team. And I'm going to launch and identify them. And I will find out if they're worth my personal time or not at the launch. Now, at the same time, when I'm doing that, I'm not going to just scan them up and down and identify them and sort them into people. No, I'm going to make sure they switch over all the services. I'm going to make sure they're qualified. I'm making sure that they got some three-way call activities happening, so they have invites happening for their PBR and their BOM coming up. Of course, that's part of launch, but my biggest thing I'm looking for at launch is, hey, is this person going to be my next TC, next RD, next RVP, next SVP? How many of you want some more TCs to pop up in your team in the next 90 days? Well, you got to meet them. They need your attention. Good system is like a good soil, good weather, good ground, good water. Your personal attention is like poop. Fertilizer. That was the word I was looking for. Good system in your local market is like good ground, good weather, good amount of water going in. But your personal attention, your personal phone call, your personal text message, not a group message, your personal phone call and group, personal text message, your attention to them is like the fertilizer that will get them to grow faster. And I can't do that with 10,000 people, but I should be doing that with at least a dozen people all the time. Does that make sense to you? And we're going to be talking more about that later tonight. But that's how you identify and develop leaders. Right now, my favorite person in Japan right now is a kid named Kiichi, who's 21. I started seeing this guy come to this event, like Tokyo, Osaka. Every time I'm doing an event, anytime I'm doing a tour, I see this kid. I assumed he lived in Tokyo. I assumed he lived in Osaka. I talked about him in Detroit leadership too. And this kid, let me tell you something. He's unbelievable. I mean, some of you heard it in Detroit. I mean, like this guy, I saw him. I found a picture. I mean, this kid, I'll show you when we're having dinner. Like this kid, when he was ETT, I mean, I saw him at these events by himself. Next event, when he came up and introduced himself, I mean, he was with like 4 or 5 people. He was ETT. You know, he didn't look sharp yet, not suited up, not tied up yet, you know, but he's introducing himself, and I'm seeing his eyes, and man, this dude's just, you just knew this dude was the right guy. He was ETT. But how else could I have gave him any personal attention if I didn't meet the guy? I knew he was the right guy. I gave him my phone number. He gave me his phone number. We started messaging each other. We started talking. He speaks a little bit of English, so we started talking. That's what my attention is what? Who? Okay? In a good environment. Well, he lives in a city. It's a bad environment. Our ground and weather and water isn't even good there yet. But just with my attention, this dude allows him to grow more, right? Boom, he goes team coordinator in June. His buddy 20-year-old goes team coordinator in July. Mr. Tony Kupitz was in Japan last week. We only did 3 city events. Tokyo and Osaka was the 2 largest cities, but you know what? Other city was his city, which is a 300,000 people, one of the smallest cities in Japan. Wow. I didn't take Mr. Tony to Fukuoka or Nagoya where there's millions of people. There are 300,000 people in his stand. This kid, 21-year-old, packs 450 people in the room. Wow. He's going to be regional director this month. He's got a 20-year-old friend who's a TC. He's going to be turning 21 October 20th. He's on a run to become a regional director by October 19th because I told him, bro, you could be, as soon as you turn 21, you could have a record of becoming a regional director at 21, but don't you want to become a 20-year-old regional director after? He's running for it. He's got a guy named Kai who's 20-year-old. He's inches away from becoming team coordinator. So Kenya, who's 20-year-old, he's got 3 legs right now, running extremely hard to become team coordinator before October 20th. We'll see if he hits it or not. What matters is he's running for it. He may do it, he may not do it, but who cares if he does it in November? He's running for it. But you know, they got 450 people in Kanazawa, in a small city. Unbelievable. He's keeping everything simple. He's just taking massive action. But without me giving him that personal attention, I didn't do much for him, except for just talk to him all the time. I told him, I said, bro, for you, I'm available for you 24/7. It's like going to Disneyland. You get the pass, you get to ride everything you want. You have pass with me 24/7. You're doing a PBR, you're with somebody that you think they're going to be good, you could call me on a video call anytime. I mean, this dude, as soon as he's doing a PBR with 3 people, 5 people, they're signing, they're sharp, man, he calls me, I don't care what I'm doing, I answer the phone. I don't care if it's 30 seconds, I'm going to say, hey, Kiichi, here's all I say. I should see you, Kiichi. I tell everybody there, he's the man. Man. Kiichi is the man. Do you know who Kiichi? Everybody in America knows who Kiichi is. Everybody in Korea is talking about Kiichi. And you get to work with Kiichi. Congratulations. That's all I say. Is that hard work? He can call me at midnight. He can call me at, I don't care what time he calls me. He knows if I miss his call because I was in an important meeting and I can answer the call, he knows I'm calling him back right away. He knows I'm available for him. See, that's my attention for him. He knows I'm available for him. He appreciates it. And he lives up to the expectation I have of him. I believe in him. I keep telling him I believe in him. And he tells me something, and he's going to do everything he can to follow through. How many of you have people like that in your team right now that you're building a relationship with to develop them into TCs and RVPs and SVPs. Because that, your personal attention with at least a dozen people, if not more, is how you're going to develop these people. This kid was only ETT back in April. Today, he's about to be a regional director and he's packing 450 people in a room in a city of 300,000, 8.5 hours away from Tokyo. If he could do that, every single one of you could do that. And not just you, but people in your team could do that. Does that make sense to you? Yes. But you could, I mean, I wish I lived in Kanazawa. I wish I was spending 25 days a month in Kanazawa, man. This kid will be a 21-year-old SVP, bro. I've only been there twice. But some of you work in your city. Imagine how much you could really do for somebody if you really are looking and sorting for the next TCs, next RVPs, and next SVPs in your team, and you're really building that relationship and really give them that free pass to have access to you, and you really start developing that relationship. I mean, I feel bad. I've been in Kanazawa 3 days the whole time I've known. I think to myself, man, what if I was spending like a week, a month there? In November, he doesn't know yet. I'm actually going to spend a week in his city. We're getting this kid to RVP. I'm on a mission to get this kid to RVP. Now, why am I saying this? Not to talk about Kiichi. Talk about how many of you want more TCs and RDs and RVPs and SVPs in your team?
Yes.
You got to sort and find them. Where are you going to find them? At your launch. When you meet one-on-one and talk about their why, and when they tell you when they're committed, and you're saying, hey, we gotta do this, we gotta do this, we gotta do this, you're putting in their orders, you're getting them registered for a convention, you're getting them making some three-way calls, inviting them for the PBR or BOM or whatever is coming up next. With their attitude and their action, you determine if they're the right person or not. Does that make sense?
Yes, sir.
I can be available to 10,000 people 24/7. I can answer 100 video calls at midnight, but I could with few. You could with few. Would you agree with that?
Yes.
How many of you would take the call at 12:05 video call if you knew that kid was going SVP? If that kid was going to give you $1 million a month in revenue in the next 12 months of time with customer base, and it's going to give you residual income, how many of you are like, call me at 4 a.m. Your ringtone's got to be my alarm clock. I'm going to change the ringtone to They're like, oh, I won't do that with one. I'll do that with 20 people. You know what I'm saying? But how many people are you building that relationship with right now?
Wow.
Or are we just going through the motions? Just whatever. Anyways, launch, that's why I love launch. Promoting. Maybe you got all these people signing up, you got all the people coming to launch and getting qualified, but nobody's coming to training. Well, that means we're not doing a good job with promoting, and maybe you got a crack right here. The good news is everything we're talking about, if you know there's a crack, you just got to fill it up. You get what I'm saying? But if you don't know where the cracks of your organization is, you can't fix it. And that's why we're here talking about this, so you identify where the crack is. Now, if nothing is going in, I can't help you. You get what I'm saying? If nothing's going in, you got to put some in. But if you're putting in a lot here, but you're not getting a lot here, you're missing somewhere. You have to reevaluate your organization, your business on your own, because I don't know, everybody may be different. I actually looked at a lot of you guys' report before the meeting, and really everybody's different. And we're going to be talking about it after tonight's session. But I mean, I'm seeing some of you, like somebody like Mike Augustine. I mean, out of all the customers he has, 35% of them are internet customers. His #1 product in his team is internet customers. He's got more internet customers than Flash and Zoom. Wow. Now, which is good. But here's what I know. If he could be that good with internet, I know he could be even better with Zoom and Flash if he focuses it, but we're going to be talking about it. Now, I see some of you that's got 85% of your customers are Flash. Now, which is great, but I know if you could be that good with that, if you implemented some other things with a couple of other products, your customer count, you could keep that number, but you could go out there and get more of other freebie customers, and we're going to talk about that. You know, so I'm looking at a lot of you guys' organization, and everybody is a little different. You know, so you have to determine, you have to find out where your crack is. But I think by talking about it like this, I think a lot of you could already see where you're dropping the ball.
Yeah.
And wherever you're dropping the ball, after today and tomorrow, after this Leadership Academy, make sure you don't have a crack in your pipe. Whatever you're putting in, you should get it out. Does that make sense?
Yes.
Whatever you're putting in, you should get it out. Don't drop anybody in between. And if you could do a good job with that, I'm telling you, you will continue to have a growing business, and you could go out there and build that giant residual income that all of you guys want, okay? I don't know about you, you know, when there's really, like, there's different ways to make money in the world, but I'm telling you, like, there's no income that just feels as good as our service product residual income.
True.
Like, when you make $100,000 in cap bonuses, it feels good. But I'm telling you, when that comes in residual income, and you know that there's
Time to come at
nothing
them, they're getting slapped in the face. So if you use an Oreo cookie where the frosting is the criticism, but it's surrounded by 2 compliments, it'll help.
Wow.
It's like fudge on Sunday.
Wow.
So it's like Daryl, hey, you know what? You're really good at presenting.
Wow.
Oh my gosh, you're like the best launcher ever. But you really need to work on your participation. You know what I mean? Like, but you could do better at this. And it's funny that people that aren't doing it, like let's say some of you guys aren't listening to me right now, and I could see it, then I'll compliment that person on being the best listener. Right? So let's say Aaron here, let's say he's not paying attention, he's texting me, like, but you know Aaron over here, this guy takes the best notes, and he's the best listener. And everyone's like, yeah. Next thing you know, he's like,
That was good.
What was that? Sandra.
So Mr. Mike Don kind of already said his, but like for other of you guys, like what incident made you go like all out phase 1 and actually do ACN? Not your why, but actually doing ACN.
You want to answer that for your daughter?
mine is malnutrition. Yeah, it's like work or start. I don't know what. Wait, what?
Mine was to prove to the people of Maui could be done.
Wow.
Was there anybody else?
I have one. What do you guys use to track? Any recommendations?
You showed up out of nowhere. When did you get here?
But you're the best at being on time.
Anyone else?
Go ahead. No, just what do you guys use to track your numbers? Tracking CRM, what do you guys?
We're gonna go through you weren't here earlier. we're actually gonna talk about tonight on exactly what to look for in your downline report to really develop leaders and make sure the right activities, all of the right activities are being done in your team. So we are gonna talk about exactly what to look for in your report. Was there anyone from earlier we missed? Okay, last one.
How do you create and be disciplined and remain consistent, taking action, following a schedule, EMO, and in a long period of time and growing your ACN business?
He was looking right at you, Mr.
No, he was looking at Stuart. You know, whoever wants to add, since this last question is fine. If you ask me, like you know, I believe that every human being, even the most selfish person on the planet, every human being perform much better when it's not for themselves. You know, even the most selfish person on the planet. Like, if you're preparing a meal just by yourself, for yourself, you're never gonna cook it as good, or you're never gonna prepare it as fancy as if you have someone that you really care,
that you want to impress, you want to look good in front of, or you want to treat properly, preparing a meal for that person. You just never will. You just, you know what I'm saying? So, you know, it's just got your reasons. Your reasons are just bigger than you, like, it's, to me, it's kind of impossible for me not to stay focused. You know, because, I mean, you talk to any of the people I work with in Korea or Japan, or even, you know, Muskan, or, you know, everybody I talk to all the time, like, whenever I see people that I know they need it, and I know they want it, and they actually are, you could tell that they're really, really desperate to make it happen, and they're committed and they're trying. Like, I have a hard time sleeping at night, you know, like, knowing that they really need this, and, you know, I could help them. You know what I'm saying? I could do my part and provide an environment and lead by example and help them to achieve whatever their goals are. If it's taking care of their kids or taking care of their parents or whatever it is, you know what I'm saying? I made, you know, thank God I was product of the system, and I started making a lot of money when I was 19 years old. So it wasn't a matter of me trying to make additional $10,000 or $20,000 or $50,000 for me to go out there and get, you know, me another fancy car or whatever. You know, I had those things for a very long time. You know, but it was about, like, I really have a hard time of meeting people that I know they really, next month, from it hitting you again, like, there's nothing you could do. Like, you could literally try to call every single customer in your organization and ask them to cancel. Spend a whole month doing that, and you would have a hard time decreasing your residual income next month. It would be hard to do. Japan Energy Electricity. Electricity residual income just kicked in for the first time last month, because we started marketing early part of this year. And you connect in Japan, it takes 3 months for a customer to connect, because it goes to the monopoly and they have to approve it. It takes like 2 to 3 months. And after that, 3 months later, you obviously get commission, right? So first one was last month. This month is the second month. And I'm looking at some of the leaders, compared to first month, this month, their residual income on Zoom Energy from Japan, some of them are over 5 times. Wow. And because it's new, I know some of them is gonna be doubling and tripling and quadrupling every month for the next 12 months on their Zoom residual income. That's exciting. First residual for Flash Wireless just kicked in this month, because we just started marketing on June 26th. First one, this month. And here's the beauty of Flash, almost more than Zoom. You know what? You know what the beauty is? It kicks in quicker, and, you know, a lot of times it's higher. Cell phone is higher. So because of it, man, first month, it's like some of them, I'm seeing RVPs and SVPs, I mean, their Flash residual this month, which is the first month kicking in, is bigger than their Zoom, which they built like six months for. So it's exciting. It's exciting. It's exciting. I want to see every single one of you here make so much residual income every month, to a point it just gets ridiculous how much money you have. Like, every single one of you here should be earning, in my opinion, if you came all the way here. Now, this is not a BOM. This is not our Saturday training. This is TCs and above in Access Organization, under the leadership of Mr. Michael An, you know, leading the charge of Access Organization, and working with Mr. Tommy Lee and Mr. Armand, Mr. Stewart, Mr. Isaac, and the Isaac family. I'm telling you, if you made the sacrifice and came all the way here, and I'm sure we're all on the same page, every single one of you here should be making minimum multiple six-figure income in residual income. Minimum. My goal is to see all of you by 2020. You guys should be making 7-figure a year residual income. It's 2017, that's 3 years. In my opinion, it's worth working hard and focusing for 3 years and get good at this, which is simple, to get to 7-figure a year residual income. Really, what would you do with 7-figure a year residual income?
to just hitting your bank account every month. Every month. Every month. Residual income. 80,000, 90,000, 100,000 plus residual just hitting your bank account every month. Mr. Wu hasn't had less than 6-figure residual income for almost 4 or 5 years. Wow. Now it shows that it's possible. He worked very hard, focused 2 years, got him to over 6-figure a month in residual income, and he's been enjoying that for the last 4 years.
Wow.
All we have to do is get people here, and just invite and present and train, and just get them to do this. And do anything that's distracting, take out. Anything that's delaying people from doing it, take out. And in process, just looking at it further in detail, just make sure these things are being done properly, and there's nothing on here that you don't know how to do. Now, we're going to talk about how you could do better. We'll talk about some points. But there's nothing here that you can't do. How many of you know how to invite already? How many of you already know how to present? Right? How many of you already know how to close? Ask them to sign up. Somebody said, how do you become a great closer? Just ask them to sign up. What kind of technique do I need? Just ask them to sign up. Let's open up, let's get your online store set up. Can you say that? How many of you ever launched somebody before? We even have a launch document, Mr. Michael made, talking about their why, talking about their long-term, short-term, talk about their game plan for 90 days, and boom, talk about making a list of their first 10, and boom, talk about all the services they have at home and switching it over. We already have a document. If you don't know how, just read the line and follow step by step on the launch document. Right? That's it. How many ever launched somebody before? How many have ever promoted somebody before? Somebody said, how do you promote? We're going to talk a little more about it later today, but really, here's how you promote. I'll see you this Saturday. How many of you can say that? Well, somebody said, what if they say no? Well, you know, they said, I can't make it this Saturday. What do you have going on? Can you say that? I said, well, I have this thing with my friends set up for golf lunch on Saturday afternoon. Is it really important? Is it a really, really important appointment you have that you have to keep? I said, yes. If it's really that important, just push it to after 2 o'clock. We'll be done by 1 o'clock. But I really want to see you there this Saturday. I'll see you this Saturday. I mean, can you say that? Is that hard? So, how many have ever promoted somebody to go to an event before? You already know how. How many have ever sat down with somebody? How many of you have been to training before? You train. Now, some of you maybe you haven't got to. I'll tell you, I'll admit right now. When Mr. Tony Kupich taught me how to do Saturday training properly last week, I thought to myself, holy cow, I'm not doing that. I'm not doing that. I'm not doing that. So I'm going to talk about what he's talking about so you could become an excellent trainer at your local Saturday trainings. That things I wasn't doing, I implemented it immediately starting last Saturday. I want you to implement it in your local market as well. We're going to talk about it. We're going to talk about some of that before the break, and we'll probably continue the second session with that later after the break. But we all been there, and we all trained a little bit, but we're all going to get really good at training. Like all of these, you probably already know how to do, so I don't really have to train you much, but this, we're really going to focus on all of us getting really good trainer. But how many of you ever sat down with your people and help them put in order, help them make calls? We all done that before. We all already know how to do this. If you do a good job with this, you just get a lot of people to do this. And if you just get a lot of people to do this, and throughout the week, you just have a lot of PBRs, and funnel them into the BOM, and we sort it even better, and boom, we just take everybody to Saturday training, and that grows, regional grows, convention headcount grows, and now you got 10,000 people from your team going to a convention because you have a lot of people going into the pipe, a lot of invite, a lot of PBRs, more amount of people going to BOM and Saturday training and regional, and funnel them into the convention. Now you got an organization. When you have 20,000 people at these conventions, you're going to have 400 million a year organization. It's not that hard. Somebody said, how do you get 20,000 people there? Well, one person at a time. You just grow them. How many of you ever had 2 people at Saturday training before? Yeah. If you had 2 people at a Saturday training before, how many of you could agree with me you could have 20 people at a Saturday training? Yeah. If you could have 20, you could have 40. If you could have 40, you could have 80. If you could have 80, you could have 800. If you have 800, you could have 8,000. If you could have 8,000, you could have 10,000. If you could have 10,000, you could have 20,000. Don't worry, you're not going to run out of people. If you're worried that you're going to run out of people, you're going to get everybody and nobody else is going to get anybody because you got everybody, trust me, you're not going to get everybody in the world. So don't worry, there's plenty of people. Every second somebody's born, it's fine. Every second somebody's turning 18. Wow. It's fine. You're not going to run out of people. You're not going to run out of people. Is that hard? No. Not at all. Now, let's talk a little bit about training. I want to talk to you guys a little bit about Saturday training. Is that okay? Yes. If we get good at this, okay. If we get good at this Saturday training, man, if you have a good, here's what I really, really understood last week, okay? If you could just get a great quality Saturday training happening in your local market every week, all you need is just a lot of exposures of PBRs throughout the week and make sure everybody goes there and your business will grow unlimited. But really what glues everything together is that Saturday training. What Mr. Tony Kupich made me realize is the answer, everything, the secret is that there's no secret. But if there had to be one, it would be Saturday training. He said, if you could just get a great quality, he said, the reason they went from 0 to 400 million a year in 5 years is because their Saturday training quality was that good. He said everything in between was just a lot of PBRs. He said they could be bad presenters because we're just sorting anyways. But you get everybody to Saturday training and you do a good Saturday training, so your business will grow to a level like you have never seen. So now let's talk about Saturday training. Now here's the first thing he explained about Saturday training. He said the reason we have it in order the way we have it is because, he said there was a reason for it. Now, what's the first thing we talk about in Saturday training? Mindset. What do we talk about after that?
Compensation.
We talk about comp plan, right? What's after that?
Customers.
Customer. What's after that?
Meeting conduct.
Okay, we're just going to change a little bit of order of that. Team building.
Promoting events.
And we're going to do team etiquette. I don't know how to spell etiquette. Promoting events. Now, myself and Mr. Mike Lund, Mr. Tommy Lee, and Mr. Mark Isaac, and Mr. Stewart, and the Isaacs, and RVPs, and Armand, we are going to be spending a little bit of time adjusting a little bit of what Mr. Tony Kupich told me to implement into our Saturday training. And I think one of the things is, right now, team etiquette is before team building, but we're going to be switching that order. Here's what he explained, okay? First of all, there's a reason why it's in the order that he designed it. And number two, he said each topic has an objective. He said, as a trainer, here's what we have to understand. Now listen carefully to what I'm saying, okay? He said, you want them to be thinking about whatever we want to accomplish. Each topic is an objective. You want them to be thinking about that when we're done. He said, we train these topics because we want them thinking this way, we want them focusing on this, and we want their attitude and behavior and emotion to be like this. He said, there's an objective of each topic. Now here's where it hit home run with me, okay? As he was explaining this, we're on a train. We're on a train to Kanazawa. We're on a train. I'm just sitting next to him. He's just casually talking about all this. Just explaining mindset. He's explaining comp plan. And he said, here's what he said. He said, when you're done explaining comp plan residual income, he said, when you're done explaining comp plan residual income, he said, they need to be so excited, like jacked up sideways, about the potential of residual income, to a point where they're leaning forward, their eyes bigger, going, I need to make that big residual income. And their whole mindset have to be, when you're done explaining the residual income, they need to be like, I need to build that big long-term residual income. Hurry up and teach me how to get customers. Because I need to get that residual income. Now, he's telling me this. We're just sitting on a train. He's telling me all this. And it was like, one more time. Because as soon as he said it casually, I'm thinking to myself, I've done Saturday trainings for a long time. I got 20 plus, I got almost 30 Saturday trainings happening in Korea in 30 different markets. And I'm thinking to myself, I don't know if there is a single comp plan training being done at our weekly Saturday training where as soon as the residual income explanation is done, people are going, teach me how to get customers because I'm getting that fat residual income. I'm thinking to myself, I've done a lot of comp plan trainings at Saturday training. I don't know if I got them to ever say that. And it was like, man, I better pay attention to what Mr. Tony Cupids is saying because we're missing the point. We are going over this information. I'm guilty myself. I've been picking TCs or whoever to present at Saturday training, and you know, I thought, hey, we're gonna focus so much more on team building and recruiting, so I put the best trainer there for recruiting, and you know, whoever's new TC and they're not even good yet, but you know, they're just confident just going over the slide. You know, they don't have to, they just gotta go over the slide. So I just put whoever and whatever to do the comp plan, and they do it, and they're reading the slide. Half of the IBOs are asleep. Half of the IBOs are asleep, and even the new people are like just sitting there. I have no idea what they're talking about. During the comp plan, I'm so guilty of so many trainings that was done that I was involved myself. During the comp plan, we didn't get them so excited about the potential of residual income. We didn't have everybody spinning in their mind, like imagining, holy cow, what's going to, oh my gosh, like people need, you need to see people, like you need to see literally people calculate in their mind. Like you need to see people like trying to calculate how much they're going to be making from residual income. Like you need people like imagining how big their potential of residual income could be. Like they need to be freaking out. Now he told me this, right? So at a Saturday training last Saturday, which was a regional, but let me tell you this, okay? We had a regional event with Mr. Tony Cupids last Saturday. After the regional was done, like Kenji's been with us over 11 years. You know, Shoichi's been with us 10 years, even though he's been working for a year, but you know, he's been watching ACN, been to all the conventions for 10 years. We have some RVPs that are doing well in Japan that signed up a year or 13 months ago, doing well. People with momentum. I had some of, you know, Korean RVPs there at the regional. But I also had, you know, some Korean IBOs that's been in ACN like 3 years, no production, still ETT, you know, at that regional. You know what was amazing? After the regional, everybody came up to me or texted me the next day. Everybody that I spoke to, everybody told me that was the best event they've been to the whole time they've been in ACN. Okay? This was last Saturday. I'm talking 11-year-old Kenji, or 10-year-old Shoichi, or top